The black hole that Han Che and Bing Hui had used to enter the abyss passageway had turned into dust in a brilliant burst of light. The many races and experts who were stuck in the confrontation suddenly noticed that the black hole had been destroyed. The glaring rays of light instantly gathered near the cluster of black holes. They could also see an icy blue wisp of light withdrawing swiftly towards where it came from. Is that? Assad was the first to react in astonishment. Qin Lai. Indigo smiled and nodded slightly. I don't know how he managed to come back either. Swoosh! Suddenly, Qin Lai boldly emerged from the black hole where the icy blue thread had come from. Hello everyone, he said with a grin on his face. Just now, he had sent Enos back to the Frost Desolation Abyss with Star Door. Since he had destroyed the black hole connecting Spirit Realm to the Abyss Passageway, he had fully achieved his objective. If he so wished, he could instantly return to the Frost Desolation Abyss, Sky-bearing City, or the Flaming Sun Abyss. Moreover, he was currently inside the Abyss Passageway, and the demon spirit of space and time bloodline inside his body had come fully active. Qin Lai was certain that not even Assad or Han Che would be able to capture him right now. The reason he dared to show himself openly to the peak experts of the universe was because he was certain that he could make a full retreat no matter what. The black hole that connected Spirit Realm to the Abyss Passageway was something that I had created by accident. The reason I came here today is to destroy it with my own hands, Qin Lai said unhurriedly after he had completely calmed down. Now that the black hole has been destroyed, the only way left to reach Spirit Realm is through the stars. The God race is closer to us, but even with their giant starships traveling at top speed, it'll still take them 2 years to reach Spirit Realm at least. As for the Soul Race, the Spirit Race, and the Abyss Devils, they're even further away from Spirit Realm than the God race is. You guys will probably have to travel even longer before you can make it to Spirit Realm. Every race and expert gathered in this place wore serious expressions on their faces the moment they heard this. Han Che's face especially was so chilly that it was as if he could freeze his surroundings with his eyes alone. Why are you doing this? You obviously possess the Blaze family bloodline, and the Blaze family had treated you like a kin when they ran into you at the Origin World. Why had you decided to betray us? Han Che asked in a chilly tone. Everyone else looked confused by his question. In reality, a lot of people including Assad and Narson didn't know Qin Lai too well. If Qin Lai hadn't appeared in the Origin World and won the fight for the Origin Crystal despite his competition, they wouldn't have paid attention to him even now. Right now, Qin Lai was surrounded by a strange aura. It was gradually catching their attention. Everyone here was a famous bloodline expert in their own race. Right now, they were all intensely curious about Qin Lai. They were curious why Qin Lai, a non-abyss devil, was able to evolve the Origin World into the Flaming Sun Abyss. They were also curious about the demon spirit of space and time aura that was leaking out of his body, and his connection to the God race. I am a human of Spirit Realm, and I have no desire of seeing Spirit Realm being destroyed or the natives' lives being lost to your whims. Qin Lai pondered for a moment before staring seriously at Han Che. I don't want to become enemies with the God race either. If you promise to stay put in the Outer Realms and cease your invasion on Spirit Realm, no harm will come to the both of us. Don't you agree? As for Mia and the Profound Ice family members, if you give me your word that the Profound Ice family will forfeit this invasion, then I will promise to find a way to send them away from Shattered Ice Realm safely. And if I disagree? Han Che asked coldly. Qin Lai thought for a moment again before replying, I won't do anything to Mia. However, the 100 races are eventually going to mount a combined strike against your trapped clansmen at Shattered Ice Realm. This time, they won't have to face you or Bing Hui. Moreover, I heard that the 3 emperors of the human race are at least as powerful as you are. I doubt many of your clansmen will survive the battle. You will do nothing but watch? Han Che asked. Qin Lai nodded in response. I won't interfere with the battle at least. Han Che then replied in a chilly tone. I'm all eyes then. Let's see if the 100 races of Spirit Realm are truly capable of destroying my army. Clearly, Han Che had rejected Qin Lai's offer. Qin Lai's own face had darkened in response. He had hoped to persuade Han Che, and subsequently the profound Ice family into promising not to partake in the God race's invasion of Spirit Realm. If Han Che had given his word, he would have found a way to convince the Ice Emperor to allow him to send the profound Ice family members currently trapped at Shattered Ice Realm away from Spirit Realm. He would have used the realm entrance connecting Boluo Realm and the Frost Desolation Abyss to send them to the Frost Desolation Abyss first, and then back to the God race from the Abyss passageway. Spirit Realm wouldn't need to deal with the profound Ice family this way. He knew full well how terrifyingly powerful all 5 families of the God race were. He didn't want to fall out with the God race unless it was absolutely unavoidable. He had tried his best to prevent a do-or-die war between the God race and Spirit Realm. Even if the war turned out to be unavoidable in the end, he still would like to see the God race weakened and the 100 races given a bit more time. According to Qin Yi, the Qin family had a plan that could increase the amount of Genesis Realm experts and rank 10 Bloodline experts in Spirit Realm. Everything had been set in place, and all they really needed was time. For every bit of time he bought, Spirit Realm would grow stronger until the day the God race showed up. Maybe the God race would give up on invading Spirit Realm if they arrived 3 to 5 years later, only to discover that there were almost 100 Genesis Realm experts and rank 10 Bloodline experts among them. It was his hope that the God race would think that attacking Spirit Realm would result in a terrible loss, and that they would choose to leave just like the last time. Unfortunately, Han Che had clearly turned down his goodwill. Qin Lai, it won't be long before we reach an ultimate decision regarding your treatment, Han Che said while narrowing his eyes. When that happens, someone will be sent to capture you. Unless you choose to hole up inside that flaming sun abyss forever, someone will eventually find you and bring you to us. Actually, that's not right. Even if you've decided to hole up inside the flaming sun abyss forever, we can still send people at the same bloodline rank as you are to grab you. You'd better watch out. To everyone's surprise, Han Che chose to leave right after he said this. He had vanished in a flash of ice. The patriarchs of the 4 families had told him through the flesh-filling tombstone that he was not to kill Qin Lai no matter what. He was also aware that Qin Lai would leave immediately through the star door the second he was threatened, not to mention that they were inside the abyss passageway right now. Realizing that there was nothing he could do to Qin Lai right now, Han Che calmed down and chose to return to the God race through the secret black hole for now. He would discuss with the patriarchs and the elders about Qin Lai long and hard after that. That was why he had chosen to leave first. The moment Han Che had left, the power of absolute frost he had unleashed earlier vanished as if it had a sole consciousness of their own. The rank 8 and rank 9 Abyss Devils who had been frozen earlier suddenly relaxed. The Abyss Devils immediately fixed their violent and bloodthirsty gazes at Qin Lai the moment they were freed. The creator of the flaming sun abyss. The Abyss Devils' breathing grew rapid as their hearts beat like thunder. Purple clumps of Abyss Devil energy mixed with their bloodline power suddenly exploded from where they stood like brilliant fireballs. Roar! The bloodthirsty Abyss Devils pounced towards Qin Lai madly, in an attempt to be the first to devour his heart. This would make them the next master of the Flaming Sun Abyss. Assad, Narration of the Spirit Race, the 2 princes of the Soul Race, the Winged Race and the Bone Race were all watching and waiting. They all seemed to know that Qin Lai could leave whenever he wished. No one seemed to think that the rank 8 or rank 9 Abyss Devils were capable of killing Qin Lai instantly inside the Abyss passageway. Especially when Qin Lai had proven himself capable of executing the demon spirit of space and time's bloodline secret arts. There are no rank 10 great lords of the Abyss among you, and we're in the Abyss passageway. There's no way you lot will be able to tear me apart and eat me as easily as you wish. Qin Lai shook his head with a smile. Suddenly, blue threads suddenly flew out of his eyes. They immediately shot towards the black holes of varying sizes nearby. The fan of blue threads that had opened up around him actually made Qin Lai look like a peacock for a moment. Suddenly, the black holes broke free from their static positions and began to move. In an instant, the black holes that had been dead and silent for tens of millennia flew towards the Abyss Devils like the light gaping beastly maws. The hundreds of black holes started generating waves of powerful suction force that pulled at the Abyss Devils. Rank 10 bloodline warriors such as Assad and Narration could even glimpse the infinite amount of apocalyptic magnetic storms behind the black holes. The patriarch of the spirit race, Assad, couldn't stop his face from twitching. It was almost as if he couldn't bear to watch the cruel death that was about to visit the Abyss Devils very soon. How terrible! Even Narration was shaking his head. As rank 10 bloodline warriors of the spirit race, they were both aware of the terrible price the spirit race had paid in order to capture the demon spirits of space and time and bring them back to their homeworld. Their knowledge of the race that was the demon spirit of space and time exceeded every outer realm experts there were, and definitely the Abyss Devils. They knew just how destructive the demon spirits of space and time could be inside the Abyss passageway. When the rank 8 and 9 Abyss Devils charged towards the black hole cluster, they suddenly discovered that their bodies were being pulled into the active black holes against their will. Kacha! Crack, rack, crack. The noise that leaked out the black holes was weak, but it was without a doubt the terrifying noise of someone's bones exploding into pieces. After that, every Abyss Devil that had plunged into a black hole was crushed and ground into blood mist in an instant. In the next moment, a rich amount of Abyss Devil blood flowed through the icy blue threads that were connected to the black holes. But just before the gigantic, river-like volume of blood could enter Xianxia's body, the flesh-filling tombstone suddenly flew out into the open. The blood vanished into the flesh-filling tombstone and turned into refined flesh and blood energy. The flesh-filling tombstone. The Blaze family's lost flesh-filling tombstone. It was in his hands all this time? The onlookers immediately boiled up in excitement. In just an instant, dozens of rank 8 and rank 9 Abyss Devils had forever vanished inside those terrible black holes. Moreover, their blood had been extracted by the demon spirit of space and time's blood threads and transformed into energy for the flesh-filling tombstone. The demon spirits of space and time were one of the strangest races in the entire universe to begin with, and they were exceptionally powerful in the Abyss passageway. Very few people knew just how much it had cost the spirit race to capture them and bring them back to their homeworld. That didn't include Assad and Narration. They knew that the spirit race had dispatched nearly all of their peak experts in order to capture the demon spirits of space and time. No one knew better than the spirit race's rank 10 bloodline warriors the terror that was these beasts and the Abyss passageway. That was why the other races were shouting in fear and shock when the rank 8 and rank 9 Abyss Devils were devoured by the black holes. But the spirit race experts were simply looking on indifferently. They seemed to have predicted this outcome from the beginning. They seemed to know that rank 8 and rank 9 Abyss Devils wouldn't be able to deal much damage to Xianxia as long as he was still in this black hole-infested area. Reality had proven their judgment right. The dozens of roaring Abyss Devils charging madly towards Xianxia in an attempt to kill him were all devoured by those mysterious black holes. The black holes Xianxia had drawn over using the demon spirit of space and time bloodline in him were connected to many death zones that could instantly end any life with their apocalyptic spatial power storms. Forget a rank 9 Abyss Devil, even Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King would have been turned to ash if they were careless enough to get caught in those black holes. There was zero chance they would survive the encounter. What a terrifying black hole! Xianxia has control over those black holes. No wonder Han Che had left so quickly after leaving behind his threats. Could it be that even Han Che wasn't sure if he could defeat him here? This boy is unbelievably strong. The experts of the winged race, the bone race, and some other unknown races were all staring at Xianxia with their eyes wide open. They were stunned by the amount of power Xianxia had displayed. Before the demonstration, a couple of rank 8 bloodline warriors had wanted to ambush Xianxia while he wasn't looking. However, they had all changed their minds since. Xianxia hovered at the center of the spinning black holes. He controlled them using the blue threads inside his body. It was almost as if the area he occupied had become the scariest forbidden zone in the entire world. It was a zone that could seemingly devour any living being who dared to intrude its space. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Meanwhile, the ice blue-colored threads continued to direct the Abyss Devil's blood into the flesh-filling tombstone. Xianxia could sense the energy inside the flesh-filling tombstone rising dramatically by the second. The flesh and blood energy of dozens of rank 8 and rank 9 Abyss Devils was comparable to a sea of blood. As a result, the flesh-filling tombstone was recharged like never before. Unfortunately, the demon spirit of space and time bloodline power inside his body was rapidly diminishing. Moreover, there was currently no way to replenish it immediately. PSSH, 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 PSSH. The bloody black holes suddenly moved in front of Qianlai like they were some sort of natural shields. The remaining Abyss Devils hurriedly paused their charge after witnessing the horrifying, bloody death of the first group of Abyss Devils. After that, not a single Abyss Devil dared to step into that black hole-infested area any longer. In fact, they were finally looking at Qianlai with a bit of fear. The murderous roars in their throats were suddenly cut short as well. Although the Abyss Devils had stopped in their tracks, Qianlai didn't dare let his guard down. Narrowing his eyes, he carefully collected all of the Abyss Devil blood he could gather from the black holes. A short while later, when he was finally done with his task, Qianlai let out a long sigh of relief before smiling cruelly and sinisterly. All rank 8 Abyss Devils may feel free to challenge me at the Flaming Sun Abyss. Anyone who manages to kill me there and consume my heart will naturally become the new master of the Flaming Sun Abyss. After that, the blue threads broke free from the black holes and re-entered his body in just a few seconds. They looked as agile as spirit snakes. He shot Indigo a glance before smiling brightly at her, nodding. "See you around." Indigo gave him a smile before responding softly, "We will meet again." After that, Qianlai's figure shrank to the size of a rice before he abruptly dove into the black hole right behind him. His aura swiftly faded away after that. After Qianlai had left the scene, the winged race, the bone race, and other foreign races hesitated for a moment before leaving the scene as well. Whatever motives they may have had when they first came here, it seemed that they were all in agreement that it was time to leave. Reverence flashed through the surviving Abyss Devils' eyes as they stared at the black hole cluster. They hesitated for a moment before shooting a fierce glare at Assad and Narration. Finally, they turned to leave as well. Suddenly, the only people left in the safe zone beyond the cluster of black holes were the Spirit Race Clansmen and Soul Race Clansmen. Narration held his silence for a moment before asking Assad suddenly, "I can sense the bloodline power of an Abyss Devil and a demon spirit of space and time on that Qianlai. Who is he?" As the patriarch of the Sartorius family, he had once participated in the Spirit Race's operation to hunt down the demon spirits of space and time. He was aware of everything that had happened during that operation. Since Narration knew the demon spirits of space and time intimately, he also knew that the bloodline activity Qianlai had displayed earlier, the blue threads that had flown out of his body, and his control over the black holes were practically identical to the methods of that one deadliest demon spirit of space and time they had to fight back then. That was why he was certain that Qianlai was somehow strongly connected to that demon spirit of space and time, the strongest of its kind. "You should head to Spirit Realm personally if you wish to know the answer," Assad said suddenly. His words caught the rank 10 bloodline warriors behind him and Indigo next to him off guard. "Grandpa." Indigo looked like she wanted to say something. Assad shook her head and motioned for her to keep calm for the moment. Then, he threw out a star map to Narration. Even Narration was confused at this point. "You can use this star map as a guide if you wish to travel to Spirit Realm. It won't take you to Spirit Realm immediately like a black hole would, but it should still shorten your travel time significantly and enable you to arrive at Spirit Realm just a tad faster than the God Race," Assad said indifferently. The great sage drew the star map. "You don't have to worry about being led astray." Narration grew more and more puzzled. He asked darkly, "Haven't you set up this elaborate trap in order to kill us in the first place? Why have you suddenly changed your mind at the last minute?" "It is as you say." Assad nodded. "Why?" Narration growled. Assad suddenly looked more serious than ever before. "That Qianlai, I sense great danger from him." "Him?" Narration let out a cold snort before replying disdainfully. "You and I both know that didn't really kill those rank 8 and 9 Abyss Devils with his own strength. It was his bloodline and his connection to the black holes that really caught them off guard. Maybe his little tricks were flashy enough to fool those Abyss Devils, the winged race, and the bone race, but they could hardly fool you and me. I don't think that a mere rank 8 mixed blood can threaten your seat in any way. You'll understand what I was afraid of after you've gone to Spirit Realm and learned more about him," Assad replied. After that, Assad forcefully left the scene while ignoring Narson's follow-up questions and his clansman's puzzlement. The baffled Narration and the 2 soul race princes were the only ones left at the scene. Surely Assad must have left because he thought that he wasn't strong enough to kill all of us? A Sartorius family expert declared proudly. But Narration shook his head and said, there are more bloodline experts waiting in the black hole they had used to return home. Moreover, the great sage may be waiting among those reinforcements as well. The speaker's face suddenly turned pale with fright. He said with eyes that were filled with fear, if the great sage really is waiting for us, then I doubt we'll be able to escape our ill fate even with the aid of our two allies. Assad is the patriarch of the spirit race, but he said that he sensed great danger from that Xianxia. What is he referring to? The second prince of the soul race asked. Perhaps we should trust Assad this one time and travel to spirit realm using the star map he gave us, Narration suggested. Okay. Xianxia's figure abruptly appeared above the origin sea of Flaming Sun Abyss. Since he shared a special connection with the Flaming Sun Abyss and the origin crystal, he was able to appear here instantly using the demon spirit and time and space's bloodline. His flesh-filling tombstone was brimming with flesh and blood energy as it slowly flew out of its body and floated. Its surface was covered in wriggling blood threads that looked like strands of muscles, giving the impression that it was alive. Xianxia let out a long sigh of relief before calming down. Then, he began absorbing the flesh and blood energy inside the flesh-filling tombstone to restore his own strength. Assad and Narration were right in their assessment. The only reason he was able to kill dozens of rank 8 and 9 abyss devils in an instant was because of the demon spirit of space and time's bloodline secret art and the unique environment they had fought in. For example, if the fight hadn't occurred at a black hole cluster, he wouldn't have been able to manipulate the black holes using his bloodline secret art. Those destructive black holes were a trap a powerful demon spirit of space and time had deployed to protect its nest. It had the ability to manipulate the deadliest power of nature in the world to wipe out any living being. Forget a rank 8 or rank 9 abyss devil, even a rank 10 great lord of the abyss would have been annihilated by those terrifying black holes. However, there was a catch. He was losing demon spirit of space and time bloodline energy rapidly when he manipulated those black holes to kill the abyss devils. In fact, just luring those abyss devils into the black holes, killing them and redirecting their blood into the flesh-filling tombstone had nearly exhausted all of his demon spirit of space and time bloodline energy. If he hadn't chosen to leave immediately, he might not have had enough bloodline energy to create a star door that would take him back to the Flaming Sun Abyss. Unlike the god race's bloodline inside his body, the demon spirit of space and time's bloodline energy couldn't be restored instantly using the flesh-filling tombstone. At this point, Xianxia was gradually realizing that the core bloodline in his body was still the god race bloodline. The god race's flesh-filling tombstone was obviously effective when he used it to restore his god race bloodline energy, but the same couldn't be said for the abyss devil race bloodline and demon spirit of space and time bloodline at all. That was why he had no choice but to travel back to the Flaming Sun Abyss and spend some time restoring his depleted bloodline energy. His expression was peaceful and his mind was calm as he was restoring his bloodline energy. He had once flown around the world as a soul after the origin world had transformed into the Flaming Sun Abyss. At the time, he had experienced an unusual feeling already. This time, the experience was even clearer and more impactful than before, probably because his body was here as well. He felt as if he had returned home for some reason, and this feeling was quite similar to when he had activated the demon spirit of space and time's bloodline in the abyss passageway. There were differences, however. For example, his soul perception seemed to be limitless within the Flaming Sun Abyss. All he needed to do was to will his mind, and his soul perception would extend all the way to the farthest edge of Flaming Sun Abyss. It was a strange, godlike perception, to say the least. Abyss Creator, this is an ability unique to the creator of an abyss level. The realization struck him. Suddenly, he sensed a tiny bloodline activity from his second heart. It was where his abyss devil race bloodline had nested in. He tried using his soul consciousness to trace the tiny bloodline activity, sense its origin and identify its meaning. In an instant, his soul arrived at the entrance leading to the abyss passageway like an invisible eye. One of the biggest changes that had occurred inside the origin world after its transformation into the Flaming Sun Abyss was the existence of the abyss passageway. In fact, this abyss passageway led to where he had lingered not long ago, and he could use it to travel to unknown realms or any abyss level. Whoosh! A rank 8 lightning devil with wings suddenly burst out of abyss passageway while covered in blood. This was the first guest ever to make it to the Flaming Sun abyss. This was the reason why his bloodline had grown slightly restless just now. It was one way the abyss creator was alerted of a new arrival. It felt like a mysterious power that he, the creator of the Flaming Sun abyss, naturally possessed over this world, even though he was only at rank 8 bloodline. A rank 8 visitor, Xianxia grinned. By now, he had guessed that the lightning devil had traveled into the Flaming Sun abyss with the goal of killing him. It wanted to devour Xianxia's heart and claim his unique status for himself. This arrival of this lightning devil was clearly just the beginning. Soon, he saw even more rank 8 abyss devils pouring their way into the Flaming Sun abyss. Moreover, it looked like these rank 8 abyss devils had undergone some battles. In fact, some of them were still fighting each other as they made their way into Flaming Sun abyss. Such pure abyss devil energy. The abyss devil energy here is so thick, it hasn't scattered itself throughout the entire world just yet. Even if we fail to kill the creator, this is still a good place to linger around for the moment. Yes, I can sense that the birth of new abyss devilish lifeforms in this place. The lowest rank abyss devil is about to be born. This is a new world that is filled with infinite life. Most of the abyss devils looked amazed and curious after exploring the area near the abyss passageway. Amen. Thamer, Octon. The arrival of two new faces caught Xianxia slightly by surprise. He subconsciously cried out their names in his mind. Last time, after he had successfully seized control of the Origin Crystal, he had gained a special level of control over the Origin world. As a result, Thamer and Octon had no choice but to escape. But now the Origin world had evolved into the Flaming Sun abyss, and he was officially an abyss creator. He didn't think that Thamer and Octon would dare make a return. Are they here to commit suicide? He thought to himself in astonishment. Although the formation of the Flaming Sun abyss was just as fresh as his new identity as an abyss creator, the amount of power he could unleash using the Origin Crystal he had transformed into his soul altar far exceeded most rank 8 bloodline warriors. This meant that Thamer and Octon were unlikely to be a match for him. Moreover, he could sense the tiniest changes in the visitor's bloodlines and soul using his consciousness. This meant that his opponent couldn't hide anything from him as long as they were in the Flaming Sun abyss. Such boring opponents. Xianxia shook his head and tried to open a new star door. He was going to summon his Blood Soul Beast avatar and restore its strength with the freshly refined flesh and blood energy inside the flesh-filling tombstone. He was certain that it was enough to boost the Blood Soul Beast's bloodline all the way to the peak of rank 9. This also meant that the Blood Soul Beast and Dark Soul Beast would soon be equal in power. But when he tried to open a star door using the demon spirit of space and time's bloodline, he suddenly discovered that his ability had failed. Then, a new restlessness appeared from inside his second heart. It was his abyss devil race bloodline. Suddenly, Xianxia realized that his abilities had been restricted by the laws of the abyss. For now, he couldn't summon anyone who was related to him using the demon spirit of space and time's bloodline. As the creator of the Flaming Sun abyss, he had to obey the ancient laws of the abyss and fight his challengers for a certain amount of time. It was a responsibility that he must fulfill. At the entrance to the Flaming Sun abyss, even more abyss devils and rank 8 bloodline experts were pouring into the abyss level. To these outsiders, the nascent Flaming Sun abyss was no different from a gold mine. The abyss creator's foundation was unstable, and he didn't have full control over the Flaming Sun abyss yet. If they killed him and devoured his heart, then they could become the new ruler of this abyss level. It was a bait the abyss devils couldn't resist. A wisp of Xianxia's soul consciousness had transformed into an invisible eye the abyss devils couldn't see. While his main body was suspended inside the Origin Sea and recovering its strength through the god race's flesh-filling tombstone, the eye was paying attention to the minute changes occurring at the entrance to the abyss passageway. The ancient laws of the abyss had prevented him from opening a star door temporarily and summoning his two soul beasts to his aid. However, he still shared a soul connection with the two soul beast avatars. It wasn't distorted in any way by the flaming sun abyss. Meanwhile, at Sky-bearing City, his dark soul beast avatar sent out a thought before waiting quietly inside a dark hall. Some time later, a couple of light converged into one and formed into the cursed progenitor. "Are you looking for me?" The cursed progenitor was wearing an obvious look of guilt on his face as he stood before Qianlai's soul beast avatar. Qianlai's dark soul beast avatar took on a human form before nodding. "Please inform the Ice Emperor that the star abyss connected to Shattered Ice Realm has already been—" "Wait," the cursed progenitor suddenly interrupted. "Why don't you speak with the Ice Emperor directly? He is free right now." Qianlai was caught by surprise. The cursed progenitor abruptly vanished before he traveled towards the realm entrance. A dozen or so seconds later, a white figure appeared at one of Sky-bearing City's realm entrances. No one in Sky-bearing City had noticed his arrival. He abruptly zipped towards the palace's Qianlai's dark soul beast avatar was residing in like an invisible ray of light. An instant later, the Ice Emperor clad in white clothes had appeared inside the dark palace. The cursed progenitor left them alone. "Where is your main body?" The Ice Emperor looked calm and collected. He seemed to be aware of his two soul beast avatars and the special connection he shared with them. "My main body is currently in the abyss," Qianlai explained briefly before moving on. "I've already destroyed the black hole that connected Shattered Ice Realm to the abyss passageway, so no more abyss devils will be making their way into Spirit Realm through that black hole. Moreover, Xianxia and Bing Hui of the Profound Ice family had gone investigating inside the abyss passageway before I destroyed the black hole, and they're probably discussing about their future plans with the rest of the god race right now. This means that the Profound Ice family army at Shattered Ice Realm is currently missing 2 rank 10 bloodline warriors within their ranks. Well done." The Ice Emperor praised him without hesitation while staring at him intently. He added, "Those Profound Ice family members will be important bargaining chips during our upcoming negotiation with the god race." "Negotiations?" Qianlai asked in surprise. The Ice Emperor revealed a rare smile before answering, "That's right. There will be a negotiation." "How are we going to do that?" Qianlai felt more and more amazed. "The Thunder Emperor and Fire Emperor will seek out the god race clansmen and discuss with them the fates of the Profound Ice family members who had become stranded in Shattered Ice Realm." The Ice Emperor turned serious again before explaining, "Unlike us, the god race's reproduction ability is incredibly weak. Their children also experience an extremely long period of growth before they become truly powerful. In most cases, the god race values the lives of its clansmen greatly. They won't allow their clansmen to perish in great numbers, and the Profound Ice family members currently stranded at Shattered Ice Realm are facing exactly that predicament. It'll be a huge blow to the Profound Ice family if they lose everyone at Shattered Ice Realm. I highly doubt they'll be able to accept such tremendous losses." But Qianlai stared blankly at him for a second before saying, "Xianxia of the Profound Ice family sounded like he's prepared to lose his people the last time I saw him though?" "Oh," the Ice Emperor's eyebrows wrinkled. "Then I'm confused. But it doesn't matter. The Flame Emperor and the Thunder Emperor will be testing their bottom line. What are Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King doing right now?" Qianlai asked curiously. Those Devil Kings were rank 10 Great Lords of the Abyss and the 2 strongest existences of the Chaos Abyss. Every second they lingered in Spirit Realm could be an apocalyptic calamity to every race in Spirit Realm. The last time the Ice Emperor had bidden him farewell, it had been to seek out Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King and stop them from committing carefree slaughter. Now that the black hole linking to the Abyss passageway was destroyed, Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King wouldn't be able to return to the Chaos Abyss. No one knew how much trouble these two were going to cause. Qianlai was worried that Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King would go insane and murder any living being they encountered along the way. "You don't have to worry about anything. Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King have just left Azura Realm. Once they enter deep space, they'll encounter the strongest opponent they've ever met in their lives." The Ice Emperor suddenly smiled enigmatically. "That guy views both Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King as his own whetstones, so I believe we won't be hearing from the 2 Devil Kings until a very, very long time later. In my opinion, That guy is more than capable of fighting both Devil Kings at once and keeping them busy. Who on Spirit Realm is he? Is it the Thunder Emperor or the Flame Emperor? Qianlai exclaimed in shock. A rank 10 Great Lord of the Abyss was the equal of the patriarch of the profound family Han Che. They were considered peak powers even among the 4 transcendent bloodline races. If there was anyone who could fight both Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King alone and keep them busy, then it had to be the Thunder Emperor or the Flame Emperor. That was what Qianlai logically thought in his mind. The Thunder Emperor and Flame Emperor don't have time to deal with Terror Devil King and Despair Devil King right now because they're busy with the negotiations with the God race. The Ice Emperor smiled at Qianlai before continuing. Also, the 2 Devil Kings had only entered Spirit Realm from the Abyss passageway because of the black hole you created. Naturally, the Qin family should shoulder the responsibility of their own mistakes. Don't you think? The Qin family, Qianlai abruptly shivered. In the human race, there is one more person besides us who can face the 4 transcendent bloodline races and stand their own ground. The Ice Emperor stared deeply at Qianlai before revealing the answer. He is your father, Qin Hao. Qianlai's eyes abruptly lit up like fire. I hope that one day you'll be able to carry the human race behind your back just like your father, the Ice Emperor said solemnly. At the Frost Desolation Abyss, the rank 8 Blood Soul Beast was swallowing the flesh of a couple of Abyss Devils after killing them with its powerful bite, recovering its physical energy at a desolate, icy land. A long time later, the Blood Soul Beast suddenly took on Qianlai's human form after it felt that it was sufficiently recovered. The Blood Soul Beast turned to look at a frozen rock. Why are you still here? I'm free right now, so I might as well stay here for a little while longer. Enos walked out from behind the rock and smiled. Before Qianlai had used the demon spirit of space and time's bloodline's secret art to destroy the black hole that led to Spirit Realm, he had sent Enos back to the Frost Desolation Abyss first as a way to tie up loose ends. The star door had led right next to the Blood Soul Beast avatar. So Enos was immediately greeted by the sight of the Blood Soul Beast fighting a couple of Abyss Devils upon returning to the Frost Desolation Abyss. In the end, the Blood Soul Beast was able to kill the Abyss Devils thanks to its vast experience and recover its strength by consuming them. Right now, Enos was curious about everything regarding Qianlai. Therefore, the reason she had stayed behind was because she noticed that the Blood Soul Beast was one of Qianlai's avatars. In her eyes, this Blood Soul Beast was no different from Qianlai himself. That other soul beast called Kadak is also one of your avatars, right? Enos continued. In the past, both her and many high-rank Abyss Devils had thought that Kadak was just a soul beast that had barged into the Frost Desolation Abyss by accident. But after she got to know Qianlai more and more, she finally realized the special connection it shared with Qianlai. As a high-rank Abyss Devil, she wasn't completely ignorant about the demon spirit of space and time's bloodline ability. Therefore, she knew that the star door wasn't a portal that could be opened without condition. She thought she had a pretty good idea what that condition was when she came through the star door and saw the Blood Soul Beast right next to her. Considering that Kadak and Qianlai were incredibly close to each other, this meant that the former had to be another one of his avatars. So what if it is? Qianlai asked indifferently. It's nothing. It's just that I suddenly recalled that woman called Serene and thought it was very funny. Enos shook her head while laughing beside herself. Kadak's your avatar, so that means that she has been trying to obtain strength through your avatar in order to surpass your true self. To that end, she was willing to give up her own body as a bargaining chip and make a deal with your true self. Isn't it hilarious? No, it's not funny at all. Qianlai frowned before saying, I wish to speak with your father. Right now. Right now. Wait a moment. Let me see if my father has time. Enos closed her eyes and used the bloodline imprint from Dawson to communicate with the Great Lord of the Frost Desolation Abyss. Fragments of light purple light flew around Enos like butterflies. Those lights contained her soul thoughts. Qianlai looked curiously at her. Seconds later, a suffocating and terrifying consciousness suddenly descended. Whoosh! A bolt of purple light, and then Dawson appeared beside Enos, bald-headed and in human form. Dawson, who had rough features like a middle-aged man, snickered and said, "The creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss. You surprise me." The formation of the Flaming Sun Abyss had astounded all the great lords of the Abyss of the Abyss. Dawson, as the great lord of the Frost Desolation Abyss, knew that the Abyss had gained its 109th level. He also knew the Flaming Sun Abyss had changed due to Xianxia. "What do you want with me?" Dawson laughed and said, "In the short term, I hope you can stop some outsiders from entering the Frost Desolation Abyss," Xianxia requested. "Outsiders?" Dawson frowned and seemed to understand. "You worry that after the black hole is destroyed, the God race and the other races will target the Frost Desolation Abyss? You worry they will use the realm entrance between Frost Desolation Abyss and Spirit Realm to enter Spirit Realm?" Xianxia nodded. The destruction of the black hole in the Abyss passageway would cause the God race clansmen, as well as other races' experts, to search for other means of entering Spirit Realm. Some informed people should know that there were humans in the Frost Desolation Abyss and might attempt to enter Spirit Realm. Dawson was a great lord of the Frost Desolation Abyss and a high-rank Abyss Devil. If he was willing to stop outsiders, he could guarantee the safety of the realm entrance connected to Spirit Realm. To seal the level and stop all outsiders from entering, I need the permission of the other 3 great lords of the Abyss. Dawson's expression was serious. "Even if I am the strongest great lord of this Abyss level, I do not have the authority to seal the Frost Desolation Abyss on my own, so I cannot consent." Xianxia's brow furrowed. "I can only promise you that I will pay attention to outsiders. If the God race or the others attempt to go near Kadak's lands, I will try to notify you." Dawson continued to speak. Xianxia's brow furrowed still. "If you are so worried, you can temporarily close that realm entrance and open it after a while," Dawson suggested seriously. "You have the bloodline of the demon spirit of space and time. You can come through the star door. The spirit realm races that are fighting in the Frost Desolation Abyss can be sent back to Spirit Realm unless they are unwilling. That will solve your problem." Xianxia was silent for a moment and then said helplessly, "Since you cannot stop outsiders from entering, I can only do as you say." Dawson grinned. He asked suddenly, "Abyss Creator, how does it feel?" "Oh, you don't know?" Xianxia said curiously. Dawson had a grimace. "I am not the creator of the Frost Desolation Abyss." Xianxia stilled. "While the Frost Desolation Abyss was an origin world at its beginning, I am an Abyss Devil that was formed after the origin world had transformed into the Frost Desolation Abyss." Dawson shook his head and continued. "When the origin world transformed into the Frost Desolation Abyss, the laws were already set. When the laws were formed, the beings in the Frost Desolation Abyss were not strong enough to comprehend the laws. I only became intelligent after the laws of the Frost Desolation Abyss formed and I evolved. After spending 1,000,000 years to reach rank 9 bloodline to become a Lord of the Abyss, I finally felt the existence of the Abyss laws. But it was already too late." Dawson sighed. "I am only a great lord of the Frost Desolation Abyss. I did not participate in its transformation from an origin world to the Frost Desolation Abyss. Therefore, I can never become the creator of the Frost Desolation Abyss." He looked deeply at Xianxia. "A creator is a person that is recognized by the Abyss level when it is still an origin world. Only people like you can be called the Abyss creators. I am not one." Xianxia was shocked. "We are different?" He could see that Dawson's eyes were full of admiration and envy towards his Abyss creator status. "Of course we are different." Dawson continued to grimace. "When the Abyss creator's Abyss Devil race bloodline reaches rank 10 and he becomes a great lord of the Abyss, the Abyss level he creates will completely transform. When the transformation completely finishes, the level will sink into the bottom of the Abyss and become one of levels known as the 8 Purgatories. The rank 10 Abyss creators will then receive a title, Devil Monarch." Xianxia was shocked. "The Devil Monarchs of the 8 Purgatories are all Abyss creators?" "Not all, but the majority." Dawson thought for a moment and said, "If I want to become a Devil Monarch, I must comprehend all the laws existing in the Frost Desolation Abyss. But there may be millions of laws existing in an Abyss level. A rank 10 Abyss Devil could spend millions of years and not be able to comprehend a third. This path is too difficult. So to great lords of the abyss like us, while there is hope to become devil monarchs, it's minuscule. The abyss creators have a higher chance? Qianlai asked. Much higher. Dawson nodded. Right now, of the 8 devil monarchs, 7 were abyss creators, and only 1 used the stupid method and comprehended the millions of laws in an abyss level to become a devil monarch. Qianlai asked in surprise, "It appears you greatly desire to become a devil monarch. Why? Isn't a devil monarch's bloodline also just rank 10? What is different? While devil monarchs have rank 10 bloodlines, they are much stronger than us." Dawson hesitated and then said, "Also, only by becoming a devil monarch will you have hope to break the limit of the bloodline rank 10 and transform your bloodline again." Rank 11 bloodline? Qianlai was shocked. Dawson and said, "Each abyss devil, when they reach rank 10 bloodline and become a great lord of the abyss, will awaken their hereditary memories. The inherited memories tell us how to become devil monarchs, and that only devil monarchs can break the bloodline limit of rank 10. They also tell us that an abyss master can only come from the devil monarchs." What is an abyss master? Qianlai had a puzzled expression. "The only master of all abyss levels," Dawson shouted. "An existence surpassing the 8 devil monarchs?" Qianlai was shocked. "The abyss master only exists in the legend of our bloodline. I have lived for millions of years and do not know if there is an abyss master existing." Dawson inhaled and said gravely, "If an abyss master really exists in this time, he can command all the abyss devils in all abyss levels. Us great lords of the abyss, including the devil monarchs, must comply. Of course, I do not think the abyss master exists. Otherwise, the god race, spirit race, and soul race would have been exterminated by us abyss devils already." Qianlai's expression changed dramatically. "I am not joking." Dawson had a serious expression. "Similar saying exists in our bloodline inheritance. The abyss master is the master of the universe. When the abyss devil race produces an abyss master, the other so-called transcendent bloodline races become jokes compared to the abyss devils. 108 levels, 109 levels of the abyss, countless abyss devils, tens of thousands of rank 10 great lords of the abyss. This is a force strong enough to kill the god race, spirit race, and soul race together. When the abyss master appears, all the other bloodline races can only crawl under our feet. This is the deepest memory hidden within our bloodline." Pausing, Dawson smiled. "If an abyss master really appears in this era, it will be the end of days for all other races." Flaming Sun Abyss. Qianlai's 2 soul beast avatars talked with Ice Emperor and Dawson as his main body gradually recovered the bloodline power of the demon spirit of space and time. He floated silently above the origin sea. Glug glug. The boiling origin sea gave off thick purple abyss devil energy. The abyss devil energy floated into the sky and spread into all parts of the flaming sun abyss. The creator of the abyss, his blood soul beast avatar, through Dawson's explanation, had a clear understanding of the uniqueness of an abyss creator. Of the 8 purgatories of the abyss, 7 of the 8 devil monarchs were abyss creators. Only devil monarchs had hopes of breaking the limit of a rank 10 bloodline and becoming an abyss master. And the abyss master was the true ruler of all abyss levels. He could command all abyss devils in the abyss, and make all of the rank 10 great lords of the abyss and devil monarchs follow his orders. 109 abyss levels, countless abyss devils. Once they united, it would be the end of days for all other races. The soul race, spirit race, and god race together would not be a match for all 109 levels. The abyss master was the master of the universe. Since I am so lucky to become the creator of the flaming sun abyss, I have hope of becoming a devil monarch of the 8 purgatories. Therefore, I should treasure my abyss devil race bloodline. Seated above the origin sea, he contemplated his future path as he tried to activate his abyss devil race bloodline. The deep purple bloodline crystal chains suddenly shone with purple light with his second heart as the center. Howl! He roared into the sky, giving off abyss devil like bellows as he tried to activate the potential in his abyss devil race bloodline. Suddenly, The thick abyss devil energy that had been rising out of the origin sea furiously flooded towards him like a river flowing into the sea. The dense energy burrowed into his bloodline when it reached his body. In a flash, his physical body was filled with thick abyss devil energy. He probed around with his mind. He could feel that when the tendrils of thick abyss devil energy entered his body, they were immediately absorbed by his abyss devil race bloodline. The deep purple bloodline crystal chains flowed in his blood and filled his veins. Clang clang, clang clang clang. His second heart gave off ear-deafening beats. The powerful pulse caused his expression to change slightly. But a second later, the deep frown was replaced by a look of joy. He suddenly found the abyss devil energy flooding his body was slowly entering his organs, bones, and flesh under the guidance of his abyss devil race bloodline. The abyss devil energy seemed to be refining his body. A wave of mixed numbness and piercing pain came from his physical body. He shouted and bared his teeth as he felt intensely with his mind. His eyes turned from a normal color to a deep purple like eyes of Ling Yushir or Enos. This was a sign that the abyss devil race bloodline was rushing into his head. Then his hair turned deep purple. Next, his bones gave off a wave of cracks. As he breathed, he inhaled and exhaled deep purple abyss devil energy. He started to give off ancient presence of the abyss. At this time, if any other races were here, they would think that he was a high-rank abyss devil. His other bloodlines' presences were completely overcast by the abyss devil race bloodline. Advanced devilization. Ancient characters of the abyss appeared from his second heart. He shook and suddenly understood the meaning of the words. His abyss devil race bloodline, body, and soul were all moving according to a special method. Whoosh! His body, which had been floating above the origin sea, suddenly fell according to his thoughts. He submerged himself in the origin sea. The boiling origin sea was full of the countless specks of light. It was these lights that had brought life from the abyss passageway into the flaming sun abyss. The ones that had entered the ground became the plants, and the ones that had fallen into water morphed into little demon insects, which later on washed up on the shores of the origin sea. His body, giving off strong abyss devil presence, fell into the origin sea. Light purple shield immediately covering his body. The fragmented lights in the origin sea seemed to be attracted by his body and gathered from all directions. At this moment, the flesh-filling tombstone in his chest changed based on his thoughts and shone with 7 rays of godly light. Deep purple blood flowed within the rays of godly light and spread to the origin sea. It was the blood he had extracted from the multiple rank 8 and 9 abyss devils in the abyss passageway and also the demon spirit of space and time. The blood contained secrets of the rank 8 and 9 abyss devils. The specks of light saw the blood spill out and furiously rushed over. They sucked in the blood of the abyss devils and merged with the droplets. Soon, the light dots underwent an obvious transformation. The fragments first turned to purple cocoons. The blood cocoons absorbed the abyss devil energy of the origin sea and the fresh abyss devil blood to make their life seeds and then broke out of the cocoon. The demon insects and little abyss devils with wings appeared out of those blood cocoons. They flew out of the origin sea and immediately fought to eat the plants. When they gathered bloodline power, they started to fight each other. From those demon insects and small abyss devils, Qianlai saw the bloodline shadows of high-rank abyss devils. He knew they had benefited from the abyss devil race bloodlines in the flesh-filling tombstone and they skipped several generations of evolution. Qianlai himself sank in the origin sea, and the origin crystal floated out. The origin crystal, which had been refined into a soul altar, appeared, and he immediately felt as though he was one with the flaming sun abyss. He seemed to be able to see the power of the flaming sun abyss, the existing laws which changed along with the origin crystal. He felt intently. Gradually, he found the flaming sun imprint which existed on the origin crystal, his blood boiling. He could feel that the thick abyss devil energy of the flaming sun abyss seemed to be a heated presence. He felt the environment of the flaming sun abyss gradually start to transform towards the environment of the extreme flame abyss he had once visited. When he named the origin world Flaming Sun, the abyss level seemed to change correspondingly. The frost desolation abyss was always bone-chillingly cold. The extreme flame abyss was covered in erupting volcanoes and flames. The darkness abyss was forever in darkness. The shining abyss always was bright. Whenever each abyss level got a name, its environment seemed to be predetermined at that moment. The abyss level called Flaming Sun had yet to change because he, the creator, hadn't immediately returned. Right now, he and the origin crystal were both in the origin sea. The Flaming Sun Abyss recognized the mysterious laws of the abyss hidden within the origin crystal and tried to recreate the environment based on the name Flaming Sun. The world was designed to suit him. Human Genesis realm experts, after refining 9-level soul altars, could attempt to create a unique world like this and then comprehend the changes in the laws of the universe. Yet he, with his 1-level soul altar, could begin to do that early. What is going on? Why is this world turning hot? Octon of the Sartorius family near the abyss passageway suddenly stopped in puzzlement. It seems you also feel it, Thamer said gravely. He was next to Octon, and looked like a high-rank abyss devil with purple hair and purple eyes. This was an abyss devil body he had just taken over. The majority of soul race clansmen would choose a soul beast as their main physical body. But Thamer was different. He liked to be free. He would choose a physical body suited to whichever realm he was active in. Right after entering the Flaming Sun Abyss, he took over a high-rank abyss devil. Unlike the other abyss devils, he and Octon quickly got their bearings after coming through the abyss passageway and headed straight for the origin sea. They had come to the origin world before, fought in here for a while, and almost died here. They were more familiar with the origin world, which had transformed into the Flaming Sun Abyss. I am a spirit race clansman, and you are from the soul race. After you and I kill Qin Lai, can either of us really become the abyss creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss? Octon suddenly started to doubt. Thamer snickered and said, Qin Lai is not an abyss devil either. Hearing these words, Octon stilled and said in puzzlement, but the origin world has already changed into the Flaming Sun Abyss. Since he is not an abyss devil, how could he make the origin world transform? He could do it, so can we. Do not forget what opportunity we once obtained, Thamer said gravely. Octon heard his words, nodded, and his gaze focused. The two spoke no more. As the other abyss devils moved like headless flies, they got closer to the origin sea. Over time, they could feel the Flaming Sun Abyss grow hotter, and discovered they understood this world less and less. The world which had been shrouded by eternal darkness now was filled with light. Their soul consciousness, which could not stretch back then, could inspect their surroundings perfectly. The abyss devil energy filled every corner of the world. They found it increasingly unfamiliar. Whoosh! A high-rank abyss devil in grand clothing and refined patterns on his face inhaled deeply. Such pure abyss devil energy. He couldn't help but praise. He said, This is a new world. It should belong to me and change based on my bloodline. Behind him were a dozen abyss devils wearing heavy armor, only their purple eyes visible from under it. Their eyes shone with savage and bloodthirsty like mad beasts. A nauseating bloody presence came from these abyss devils. The strange bloody tang seemed to be absorbing the abyss devil energy of the Flaming Sun Abyss and caused the patterns on their armor to grow brighter. There were a dozen abyss devils laying around them, all of them with rank 8 bloodlines. There were also several high-rank abyss devils, their grand and noble outfits covered in blood. They were looking with terror at the abyss devil with the strange patterns on his face. They unconsciously retreated. 8 purgatories. The abyss devils of the sacrificial ghost purgatory. He is the son of the sacrificial ghost monarch. He came to the Flaming Sun Abyss. The abyss devils that were retreating clearly recognized the identity of the high-rank abyss devil with the patterns on his face. They seemed to know they were not a match and were retreating in the direction of the abyss passageway. They clearly were preparing to leave the battle over the Flaming Sun Abyss. Kill them, and pile their corpses by the abyss passageway. The high-rank abyss devil from the sacrificial ghost purgatory snickered and said, Use their blood to leave my name and tell all newcomers I am in the Flaming Sun Abyss. The rank 8 abyss devils who were clearly his subordinates roared and charged towards the fleeing abyss devils. They were like purple whirlpools that drowned the escapees and quickly killed them. After a while, a pile of corpses of abyss devils and some other foreign races appeared by the abyss passageway entrance. A small text was written in the blood of the abyss devils in front of the pile of corpses. After doing all this, the high-rank abyss devil with a pattern on his face led his subordinates to leave the abyss passageway. After they left, new rank 8 abyss devils continued to arrive. The newcomers saw the piles of corpses upon arrival. Their attention was drawn to the bloody text in front. Most of the abyss devils stared at the text for a while before leaving dispiritedly. They seemed to know they would not get anything in the flaming sun abyss. Since they were warned, if they dared to stay, they would be abandoning their lives. For every 10 abyss devils that entered, 9 would turn back upon seeing the pile of corpses and the text beneath. Only a few people chose to ignore the warning and entered the flaming sun abyss. Whoosh! A figure appeared from the abyss passageway. When she appeared in the flaming sun abyss, Qianlai, who was in the origin sea, and felt the changes in the world with his soul, was startled awake. Indigo! Qianlai stilled, and instinctively sent a thread of his soul consciousness towards the abyss passageway. Just as his soul consciousness was about to arrive, another figure appeared from the abyss passageway. That was another spirit race female. Ah, little sister Indigo, you came here again. The beautiful spirit race woman giggled and said, "You want to fight for the origin crystal again?" "No, I only know that Octon has returned. I came back to kill Octon." Indigo's expression was aloof. She suddenly said, "Sister Betty, did you come for me? You and Octon are both spirit seeds of this generation. You both have 3 bloodline attributes. After Octon's failure, do you also want to try?" The beautiful spirit race woman in front of her was also a spirit seed like Octon. If not for Indigo's appearance, she and Octon would be the next leaders of the spirit race. Not long ago, Octon sneaked to the origin world attempting to kill Indigo, but he failed and the Sartorius family suffered with him. This meant that Octon lost the right to compete. The next spirit race leader could only be one of the 2 females. Indigo held an absolute advantage. Only after Indigo's death would Betty have chance to become the matriarch. "I have no interest in becoming the leader." Betty shook her head and said, "I came for that Qianlai, to kill him and become the new master of the flaming sun abyss." Indigo's brow furrowed, her light blue eyes turning cold. She did not disguise her hostility towards Betty. She knew this beautiful spirit race woman was stronger than Octon. If Betty wasn't a female, Octon would have no chance of ever becoming the patriarch of the spirit race. Betty had the fate, life, and space bloodline attributes. She was intelligent from childhood and exhibited stunning talent. Back then, Betty had not entered the origin world purely because her bloodline had already reached rank 8. Before the origin world became the flaming sun abyss, it limited the entrance to those with bloodlines lower than rank 8. At the time, Octon had a rank 7 bloodline. She and Octon were of similar age, and both had 3 bloodline attributes. She was usually indolent on her cultivation, but her bloodline rank was always higher than Octon. Octon thought himself the leader of the new spirit race generation, but would always be defeated when encountering her. She was the person Octon did not want to provoke the most. Her indolent cultivation and bloodline rank surpassed the hardworking Octon, and she came from the oldest of the spirit race families, the Daniels family. The Sartorius family that Octon came from was a relatively large family in spirit race but couldn't compare to the Daniels family. The Daniels family could be said to be the most ancient and strongest family of the spirit race. This family had produced the most patriarchs and great sages in the history of the spirit race. From the current leaders, great sage Xianxia came from the Daniels family. The Daniels family also had the most rank 10 bloodline warriors. If not for Indigo's appearance, if Betty wasn't completely devoid of ambition for the throne, if she wasn't a woman, Octon wouldn't even have a chance to compete with her. Even Indigo, who had 4 bloodline attributes and was recognized by the elders of the spirit race, felt great pressure facing Betty. "Little sister Indigo, why are you so nervous?" Betty laughed. "I have no interest in becoming the leader. Why would I care about the flaming sun abyss?" Is just one level of the abyss as valuable as hundreds of spirit races' realms? Indigo was puzzled hearing her answer. If you don't desire the flaming sun abyss for yourself, why have you come? Didn't I say? I came for this Qianlai guy. Betty smiled and said, Qianlai. Indigo frowned. At this time, Betty's eyes lit up and she smiled. She said, he is observing us in secret. Indigo stilled and then felt with her bloodline, her eyes brightening. She also smelled something unusual. Then the two looked towards an empty part of space. The empty space they observed revealed a purple light that flashed brightly. The purple shadow quickly absorbed abyss devil energy and expanded like a balloon to become a blurry figure. The blurry figure was made from Qianlai's soul consciousness. Why are you here? He asked Indigo. Ah, it seems you are familiar with each other. Betty laughed. Qianlai's soul unconsciously landed on Betty, and his soul shook slightly. Betty was dressed in grand robes and had a beautiful figure. Her movements and smile seemed to be seductive and could draw in people's minds. For some reason, when Qianlai's soul looked at Betty, his soul gave off strange shudders. It seemed that he and this Betty were blessed by the unpredictable fate and should be entangled together. Betty, who had been teasing Indigo, also shuddered when Qianlai's soul shadow appeared. She, who had the fate bloodline, looked at the soul shadow and felt countless blurry scenes in her mind. She went into a daze. Qianlai's soul shadow originally could exist for a long time, but after seeing Betty, it uncontrollably dissipated. He only said one sentence, saw Betty with his soul eye, and his soul shadow could no longer gather. His soul consciousness returned to the origin sea. Betty stood silently at her spot, seemingly bewitched and unable to awaken. This was the abyss passageway entrance where abyss devils would occasionally appear. As a clansman of the spirit race, Indigo worried that if she left, Betty would be killed by the abyss devils that came in. Therefore, she was forced to stay and protect the female. Fortunately, Betty did not let her wait for long. You know the position of the origin sea? Betty opened her eyes, smiled and said, since he isn't willing to come, let's go and find him. Indigo pouted like she was having a temper tantrum. Why should I take you along? I'll help you against Octon, Betty said with a smile. Indigo stilled. Do not worry. I'm looking for that Qianlai not to kill him or steal the flaming sun abyss, Betty comforted. Indigo stared at her for a long while and felt with her bloodline. After ascertaining that it was not a lie, she nodded softly and agreed. All right, Betty giggled, and went to rub Indigo's hair like an actual sister. I am actually very happy that you'll become the next leader of the spirit race. You are more suitable than that dislikable Octon. If you did not appear, maybe, no matter how unhappy I was, for the future of the race, I would be forced to compete with Octon. But that was not what I wanted. I hope you understand that your appearance made me very happy. Indigo disliked her action of rubbing her hair and wanted to resist. However, when she heard the words, she suddenly stopped. After the speech, Indigo frowned and said, actually, I also do not want to become the leader of the spirit race. Betty stilled, smiled bitterly, and then said persuasively, that is your grandfather's lifetime dream. You cannot let him down. Also, I promise you, if you become the leader of the spirit race, if you encounter any trouble, I will do my all to help you. You know how strong our Daniel's family is. I won't be the spirit race leader, but I cannot avoid becoming my family's matriarch. If you do decide to become the leader of the spirit race, I and my family will be your staunchest supporters. She almost swore an oath. Indigo looked strangely at her. They were both spirit race's spirit seeds. Octon, in order to become the next spirit race leader, sneaked into the origin world to kill her. Betty was of better birth and had stronger bloodline and talent. Despite that, she avoided the position of spirit race leader like it was poison. The two's disparity in their attitudes towards the position confused Indigo. Do not look at me like this, Betty said with a smile. If possible, I don't even want to become the matriarch of the Daniels family. Humph, if not for old man Tianqi forcing me, and finding me no matter where I hide, I would have disappeared long ago. Indigo was even more shocked. Her grandfather Assad, as the patriarch of the spirit race, always treated great sage Xianxia with respect and awe. Betty, who also came from the Daniels family, called the great sage of the spirit race Old Man Xianxia. Indigo felt that Betty was too disrespectful. What? You think the old man is really some great sage? Betty snorted and said with a complicated expression. Maybe, to the spirit race, he can be called a sage. But to some other races, the things he has done can only be called great crimes. Betty clearly had no respect for great sage Xianxia. Hearing the words, Indigo was silent. She seemed to have learned something new about Betty. Let's go. If we encounter Octon, I will help you against him, Betty urged. Indigo did not move. She thought for a moment and said, Just now, when Xianxia's soul arrived, I felt unusual vibrations come from your bloodline. What happened? Betty shook her head. I also do not know. However, I think that Old Man Xianxia might have done something to me and Xianxia. I felt the threads of my fate seem to have crossed with Xianxia a long time ago. Indigo was shocked. Betty giggled. Do not be so shocked. Your fate lines intersect more with him. Is it not true? Indigo was silent. I can feel it. You do too. Do you really think Old Man Xianxia doesn't? Betty laughed. So what if he knows? Indigo finally spoke. Betty shook her head, her expression dimming as she said, No one knows what the old man wants. He would do anything for the future of the spirit race, regardless of how many lives would be ruined or sacrificed in the process. Origin C. Xianxia, wrapped in layers of deep purple light, was naked, his clothing having burned down. Threads of deep purple light that seeped into the purple shield from the Origin C burrowed into his body like nimble purple snakes. Within the purple shield, Xianxia's naked body curled as though he was experiencing great pain. Not long later, he could no longer suppress his screams, the maddened howls coming from the light shield. Threads of purple light seemed to swim under his skin like earthworms. His human fleshly body became a terrifying sight to behold, squirming and twisting, as if several monsters were moving through his flesh. His wails became even louder. Sticky liquid seeped out of his skin and covered his body. Soon after, it became a purple-black armor. The armor covered even his face, causing his facial features to change dramatically. But the transformation didn't stop, even more purple light flooding his body. After a while, his body produced strange spikes. Those spikes flashed with black light and appeared extremely sharp. Next, his elbows and knees became sharp-edged spikes. Finally, his 2 hands' nails were reinforced and lengthened, resembling sharp swords. Advanced devilization. After sinking into the Origin Sea, he absorbed the Abyss Devil energy into his body, his Abyss Devil race bloodline causing dramatic changes to occur. The process continued for a long time. Suddenly, when the Abyss Devil energy flooding his body almost reached the point of eruption, the devilization of his body stopped, and the purple light stopped entering his body. His mind shifted. He suddenly flew out of the Origin Sea and floated about the surface. He inhaled deeply. He saw the Abyss Devil energy around him enter his body with his breath. At the same time, his Abyss Devil heart started to beat wildly. Ancient characters of the Abyss flew out of the deep purple bloodline crystal chains and imprinted themselves on his mind and bloodline. Rank 8 Bloodline Latent Ability. Devil Devouring. After advanced devilization, a new bloodline latent ability awakened from his Abyss Devil race bloodline. Arg! He roared furiously, the sound waves rippling outwards. Waves rose on the Origin Sea due to his shout. After venting, he calmed slightly and looked at his body after devilization. Compared to before, he had grown almost a meter taller, becoming as tall as high-rank Abyss Devils at 3 meters. His naked body was covered in a hard layer of purple-black armor. The armor that stuck to his skin seemed to have subdued golden patterns. His thoughts changed, and he suddenly thought the purple-black armor seemed to have a special connection with his previous bloodline latent ability, golden armor. He casually took out a sword that an artificer of the Flaming Sun Island had made and stabbed his arm. Bam! A clear metallic sound came from the arm. That heaven grade 2 sword did not split his arm, and the blade almost cracked. His eyes lit up. A heaven grade sword was a relatively good artifact by the standards of spirit realm. He was unharmed when a spirit artifact of this rank stabbed his arm, even when he was deliberately not using his bloodline power to defend. The hardness of the armor caused his expression to turn to shock and joy. He then continued to examine his body. There were spikes on his shoulder, and also on his elbows and knees. Even his fingers, after advanced devilization, became 10 narrow swords. Adding on his purple eyes and hair, his body that was a meter taller, and the thick abyss devil aura he was giving off, he was practically a combat-type high-rank abyss devil. He used the sharp spikes on his elbows to cut at the heaven-grade sword. The spirit artifact shattered into splinters. He suddenly laughed. As expected of what is considered the strongest body of the transcendent bloodline races, he couldn't help but praise. The Abyss Devil race boasted the strongest fleshly bodies out of all major races of the universe. Even the God race, which was famed for their physical strength, were inferior to Abyss Devils when it came to refining their fleshly bodies. The Spirit race could not compare to the God race, let alone the Abyss Devils. And the Soul race was famed for having no body to speak of, only cultivating the soul. Due to this, the Abyss Devils' bodies were famed among the 4 transcendent bloodline races. After he activated the Abyss Devil race bloodline of his second heart and started the advanced devilization using the Origin C, his body was reborn anew. After refinement, his Abyss Devil race bloodline gained a new ability, devilization. This was similar to the bloodline latent ability of the God race, transformation. He attempted to retract his Abyss Devil race bloodline. Crack, crack, crack. The bones in his body gave off pops. Accompanied by stabbing pain in his flesh and bones, his stretched body shrank back. The spikes coming out of his arms, elbows, and knees retracted back into his body. His fingernails also moved back into his flesh. His eyes and hair turned back to normal after he pulled back in his Abyss Devil race bloodline. The hard armor stuck to his skin mysteriously melted and seeped into his skin as liquid. Seconds later, he recovered his original appearance. Black hair, black eyes, a normal body. At this time, he did not look any different than before the advanced devilization. His Abyss Devil race bloodline was no longer restless. His presence was ordinary. He looked like an ordinary human. He waved his arms, exercising his joints, and found this was the body he was familiar with. This is the Flaming Sun Abyss, and I am its creator. Maybe I should attempt devilization. After a while, he grinned and activated his Abyss Devil race bloodline again. Crack, crack, crack. As his bones popped and he felt a great pain, his body grew taller and changed again. Seconds later, he once again finished his devilization and became a high-rank Abyss Devil. It took about 15 seconds to go from human to Abyss Devil, but 35 seconds from Abyss Devil to human. After devilization, his body was a meter taller. He had spikes on his shoulders, elbows, and knees. His fingernails were sharp blades. This body was even more strange and vicious than his body after God race's transformation. He was not used to it. If he wasn't careful, he could hurt himself with the sharp blades and spikes on his body. He stood for a while in the sky about the Origin C before suddenly spinning and moving. He went into several combat positions and attempted to familiarize himself with his Abyss Devil body. He did not worry about the outsider coming to the Origin C. Time passed. He flew from above the Origin C to the surroundings, attempting to master all the new fighting styles and comprehend the secrets of his new body. After a while, he found that, in the devilization state, his Abyss Devil race bloodline was unusually lively. He could freely absorb Abyss Devil energy at any time. The Abyss Devil energy around the Origin C was always very dense. Whenever he was tired, he could just stay there and see the Abyss Devil energy burrowing into his body. This energy would then become power that would bolster his Abyss Devil race bloodline and replenish the power he had used. This process was like when he used the Spirit C in his Dantian to absorb the spirit energy of the world in Spirit Realm. However, the Abyss Devil energy did not gather in his Spirit C. but entered his Abyss Devil race bloodline. Actually, he didn't even need to absorb it. His body would soak it up on its own. This meant, after devilization, if he was in a place filled with Abyss Devil energy, he could increase his power even while sleeping or eating. He suddenly understood why the Abyss Devils were so strong. Each Abyss Devil, starting from birth, would be constantly absorbing Abyss Devil energy to increase their bloodline power all the time. The human race and the other races in Spirit Realm who used spirit energy to grow strong needed to find a way to first absorb spirit energy through cultivating spirit arts. After obtaining that method, they needed to spend large amounts of time to focus and gather the spirit energy to cultivate. Their efficiency could not compare to the Abyss Devils. Also, compared to the races of Spirit Realm, the Abyss Devils were born stronger. Not long after their birth, they had to adjust to the cruel and bloody environment of the Abyss. They needed to constantly fight and use those battles to refine their bodies and strengthen their bloodlines. They were born for battle. Near the Origin Sea, Qianlai moved in the Abyss Devil body to familiarize himself with the new style of combat. During this time, demon insects and newborn little Abyss Devils came out of the Origin Sea. Upon awakening the slightest bit of intelligence, the creatures would leave the Origin Sea and eat the energy-filled plants around. As Qianlai familiarized himself with his body, he could frequently see newborn beings fighting wildly. The Abyss Devil that one would eat the loser and use the other's body as food strengthen their own bloodline. He could see some life forms seemingly develop into low-rank Abyss Devils after winning numerous fights. Survival of the fittest. The bloodiest rule of the Abyss was laid clear in front of him. He saw those basic life forms fighting for their lives the moment they came to life. Many Abyss Devils who just developed basic intelligence were targeted by stronger Abyss Devils just after leaving the Origin Sea and were completely consumed. More powerful Abyss Devils looked down on the newborn demon insects and went outwards to search for stronger prey. As the creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss, he could feel the small Abyss Devils were like him. Even if they did nothing, they could replenish their bloodline power through the Abyss Devil energy. He had a direct understanding of the birth of the Abyss Devil race, their bloodline evolution method, and their bloody growth. He finally understood why the Abyss Devils were one of the 4 transcendent bloodline races. A race that fought from birth, was challenged at every instant, with death looming over them at every step was sure to become strong. A little Abyss Devil looking like a bat flapped its wings as it came from afar. Pew! A ray of light suddenly penetrated the little Abyss Devil. In the next moment, a high-rank Abyss Devil, tall and dressed in refined Abyss Devil armor, appeared in the distant sky. Whoosh whoosh! He had an enormous pair of Abyss Devil wings on his back that suddenly spread. From the appearance, the wings of this high-rank Abyss Devil were very similar to the little Abyss Devil who had just died. Strange, Abyss Devils that are just born and possess a pair of wings similar to mine should not have a bloodline rank so high, he muttered. He grabbed that little Abyss Devil corpse from the Flaming Sun Abyss flew into his hands before falling to the ground. Devil blood flowed out of the corpse. He touched it with a fingertip. Light flashed from his fingertip. He analyzed the blood. After a while, he frowned and said in shock, "Very similar to my race's blood." Whoosh whoosh! He flapped his Abyss Devil wings like an enormous bat and headed towards the Origin Sea. "Not long ago, I killed someone like you. That person had rank 9 bloodline and was near the black hole towards Spirit Realm." At this time, a disdainful laugh came from the dense Abyss plants below. The bat-like high-rank Abyss Devil suddenly looked down and then grinned. "The creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss?" Qianlai raised his head from the enormous Abyss plants and grinned as well. He said, "How did you know?" "You might not know, but each Abyss creator will give off clear presence." He flapped his wings and slowly descended. "That presence is the same as the scent the level gives off, the same as the Abyss. It will only occur on the creator. Each outsider who steps into this level will know from your presence." Qianlai stilled, nodded and said, "Is this so that you can kill me?" "Yes." The Abyss Devil laughed. "Each Abyss creator needs to accept challenges when the new Abyss level forms. This is an ancient rule of the Abyss. Only those who survive the challenge can become the Abyss Creator. He shook his head and said, "Right now, you are not a true creator. Because you can kill me, eat my heart, and replace me?" Qianlai asked curiously. "According to the information I obtained, it should be so." The high-rank Abyss Devil snickered and said, "However, you seem to be the only rank 8 Abyss Creator. Before you, no other rank 8 Abyss Devil managed to turn an origin world into a new Abyss level." He paused and said, "I am not sure if I can replace you as the new master of the Flaming Sun Abyss after eating your heart, but I am sure that eating your heart will not be detrimental to me." As he spoke, he said uncaringly, "The Abyss Devil you killed near that black hole should have been my uncle. I don't know how you killed him, but I believe you did not use your own power." "So confident?" Qianlai was surprised. "All right, words stop here." He licked the corners of his lips, his deep purple eyes showing bloodthirst. His wide wings suddenly cracked, its primaries releasing sharp bone blades. The Abyss Devil energy formed streams that flooded into the Abyss Devil's wings, causing them to grow to 3 times their original size. The person's forehead was now adorned by 2 black horns. Qianlai looked at him, rubbed his chin and said curiously, "Where did you come from?" "You have no need to know," the Abyss Devil who activated his bloodline power said. Qianlai could see the high-rank Abyss Devil in front of him had completed devilization, and the bone blades from his wings were as sharp as the spikes on his elbows. The reason he asked this person's identity was he thought of another matter, one of the 5 demon gods of the Nether Realm. Many years ago, he accidentally entered Nether Realm, and in the Horned Demon race's Demon God mountain range, he saw a demon god statue. The statue had wings on his back and curved horns. It depicted one of the 5 demon gods of Nether Realm. Gao Yu's ogre-faced rings were related to that demon god. Subsequently, Gao Yu had used his status as the son of the demon god to obtain his inheritance. By now, he knew that the bloodline relationship between the races of Nether Realm and the Abyss. He knew that the bloodline source of that demon god should be a powerful Abyss Devil. When he and the members of the Blaze family had gone from the Abyss passageway to the Darkness Abyss, he had seen a similar Abyss Devil. The Abyss Devil in front of him now had a similar pair of wings and curved horns like the demon god of the Demon God mountain range. He was sure that the bloodline source of this Abyss Devil and that demon god was the same. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As he was lost in his thoughts, the high-rank Abyss Devil charged at him. The thick black energy spread, and the wings of the high-rank Abyss Devils suddenly let out an ear-piercing shriek. The shriek seemed to stab into his mind. His armor, which covered his body, seemed to not have any immunity against the sound at all. In an instant, blood came out of his ears. The threads of blood moved through his flesh. Blade-like bloodline power entered his body through the sound and started to destroy his body. He was immediately wounded, but in an instant, he adjusted to the pain in his body and used his bloodline to fight. Threads of purple light flew out of his second heart and immediately engaged the invading bloody threads. He channeled bloodline power to his eardrums to form layers of purple light. He used bloodline power to block the sound from entering his body. Everything happened in a flash. When he finished resisting the sound, the high-rank Abyss Devil was flapping his saw-like wings and cutting towards his waist. "I told you you have no need to know where I come from," the outsider roared. Crack! The Abyss Devil's saw-like wings slashed at the spikes growing out of Qianlai's elbows. Purple sparks flint off the point of contact. At the same time, the 2 fighters' Abyss Devil bloodlines exploded with power. Boom! Vast power flooded their bodies. Qianlai's legs were nailed into the ground, as if they were roots of a tree. Waist down, all of his body was in the ground, his upper body trembling from impact. The Abyss Devil who had fallen from a tall height was like a bomb. He spun and shot back into the dim sky. He did not stop in the sky. Qianlai pulled himself out of the ground, grimacing as he shook the spikes on his elbows. Tiny sparks of purple lightning shot out of the spikes as he moved them. Threads of cold Abyss Devil energy caused chaos in his body. He snorted. The spikes at his elbows retracted back into his body. A moment later, a dagger-like spike shot out of his elbow. Deep purple abyss devil races patterns flashed on the spike surface before disappearing. With that, the bloodline power the opponent had left behind was eliminated. Qianlai narrowed his eyes, a strange smile on his lips, as he shot into the air. He was like a sword thrust towards the outsider abyss devil. He used the spike at his elbow as the tip. The abyss devil race bloodline in his third heart boiled like a volcano. In a flash, many ancient abyss runes steamed out his blood. The nearby thick abyss devil energy flowed into the spike at his elbow like purple light. Bloodline latent ability, golden light. A blinding golden ray shot out of his elbow spike like golden lightning. The golden lightning was incomprehensibly fast. The high-rank abyss devil in the sky flapped his wings and had just managed to steady himself. Pew! The golden lightning, as thin as a finger, penetrated one of his wings. A bloody hole appeared, and blood seeped out. The rank 8 abyss devil saw a hole in his wing and roared angrily. Suddenly, horns on his head also flashed with mysterious patterns characteristic for the abyss devil race. Abyss devil energy around him began to gather into purple clouds. The clouds moved under control of surging bloodline power and, according to some law of the abyss, ultimately shooting at Qianlai. Potent corrosive power was hidden within. With a single breath, the enemy would feel their organs rotting. Qianlai's flying abyss devil body was covered in layers of purple light, creating something akin to an umbrella over his head. The clouds collided with it. They were truly corrosive. They began to melt the layers of purple bloodline power Qianlai had employed. His defenses were dissolved before he could reach the abyss devil. A drop of purple filth fell from one of the clouds onto his back. SST. After being touched by the corrosive droplet, the thick purple-black armor covering his body immediately dissolved, leaving a small hole. Had a small hole as though it had been dissolved by a powerful acid. Qianlai frowned slightly. He used his sharp fingernails to cut off the rotten meat from his back. His body suddenly stopped moving upwards. He looked seriously at those clouds of abyss devil energy. At this time, the high-rank abyss devil higher up in the air had steadied himself, and the wound in his wing having healed. The opponent's terrifying regenerative abilities were clear to see. I come from the Black Bog Abyss. My father is the great lord of the Black Bog Abyss, Ashnaz. I am Cohen. 2 centuries ago, my bloodline reached rank 8. The high-rank abyss devil with his saw-like wings was not in a hurry to fight Qianlai again. He introduced himself gravely. Black Bog Abyss. Qianlai had an ugly expression. Recently, he and Enos had gotten pretty close. He gained a deeper understanding of the abyss through their talks. Among the many abyss levels, some never produced a true master while others had been conquered by powerful abyss devils a long time ago. In the abyss, among the lords of the abyss, there was only endless fighting and killing. In the humongous abyss, there were some special places that abyss devils of other levels were not willing to step into. The Black Bog Abyss was one such place. According to Enos, the Black Bog Abyss was filled with all kind of toxic bogs. The abyss devils of the Black Bog Abyss all had bloodlines filled with potent toxin. The abyss devils produced by the Black Bog Abyss were innately suited to the poisonous environment there. The abyss devil energy there was corrosive. The abyss devils of other levels did not want to go to the Black Bog Abyss because they could not adjust to the cruel environment. If they were really forced to the Black Bog Abyss, they had to filter the abyss devil energy they absorbed. Otherwise, they would be forced to expend their bloodline power to prevent their bodies from corroding from inside. Therefore, foreign abyss devils were greatly weakened in the Black Bog Abyss. They were at an even greater disadvantage when fighting the natives. Could be said the races living in the Black Bog Abyss almost didn't have to worry about outsiders' invasion. No invader could last long in their home turf. In the long history of the Abyss, the other 3 transcendent races invaded the Abyss countless times, but never dared to go to the Black Bog Abyss. From this, it could be seen how terrifying this particular Abyss level was. Only some special races would go there due to some special items the level produced. Those races that dared to go usually had something in common. They were naturally immune to the bog poisons. For example, the bone race, without any flesh, The bone race was made completely of bones, and neither the poisons in the bogs nor the poisonous abyss devil energy. Only special races like them dared to move in the black bog abyss and did not have to worry they would be torn into pieces by the local abyss devils. Cohen didn't just come from the black bog abyss, he was also the son of its great lord, Ashnaz. Qianlai felt he would be troublesome. What was Ashnaz's status in the black bog abyss? He was like Dawson in the Frost Desolation abyss, a top-tier great lord of the abyss. Among the many abyss levels and hundreds of great lords of the abyss, Ashnaz of the black bog abyss was famed for being difficult. As expected of a person who is able to create a new level. I can see your bloodline has just reached rank 8 and you are able to fight me head-on. You win my respect. Cohen looked up slightly and said, As you desire, I have told you my identity. You know my name. Now, even if I kill you, you should have no regrets. As he spoke, Cohen's wings slowly secreted sticky purple fluid. The fluid was like dirty purple blood. At first appearance, it gave off a noxious odor. Oh, it started. Suddenly, another voice came from the distance. I clearly left my name in the abyss passageway, but someone still dared to come. It appears someone is not afraid of dying. A high-rank abyss devil, dressed finely and with a face full of abyss devil patterns, walked through the air. Behind him were abyss devils in heavy purple-black armor that covered all but their bloodthirsty eyes. The abyss devil energy near the origin sea suddenly became chaotic and began to gather. In a short while, the thick abyss devil energy enshrouded the newcomers. Qianlai and Cohen of the Black Bog Abyss saw the disturber and immediately stopped fighting. They frowned and looked at the newly arrived challengers. Cohen looked down and frowned slightly. He said, You come from the sacrificial ghost purgatory? The high-rank abyss devil dressed in grand, noble clothes and abyss devil patterns over his exposed skin performed an ancient traditional bow of the abyss. He grinned brightly and said, I am Locke. Cohen's expression grew more grave. The son of the sacrificial ghost monarch? Locke smiled and nodded. Cohen frowned, his enormous pair of saw-like wings slowly flapping. Yet the sticky purple poison that his wings secreted went back into his wings. He appeared to not be in a hurry to fight Qianlai. He gathered abyss devil energy to recover as he looked curiously at Locke. You've also come for him? Locke's eyes narrowed, mysterious characters of the abyss flashing within. His eyes gave off a soul-searching, observing power. He looked deeply at Qianlai. Qianlai's abyss devil race bloodline suddenly started to boil under his gaze. Circles of purple light came from Qianlai's body and formed an umbrella of light that protected his body. Locke moved his gaze away and chuckled. He said, Are you Qianlai? Yes. Qianlai nodded. I come from the 8 purgatories. My father is the sacrificial ghost monarch. Not long ago, my father and I went to the 9 hells purgatory and saw a daughter of the 9 hells purgatory who had been lost. Locke suddenly stopped. Qianlai's eyes flashed with light. Her name is Ling Yushir. You should know her. Locke's expression suddenly darkened, his eyes brewing with savageness and bloodthirst. Of course you know her. My father took me in person to 9 hells purgatory in the hope that Ling Yushir and I will marry. He hoped that the bloodline of the 2 devil monarchs would merge. Even the 9 hells monarch showed great interest in this matter. But that daughter of his, Ling Yushir, said she already had an engagement. She said that that person was the one who took the origin world. That is you, right? Behind Locke, the abyss devils all dressed in heavy armor roared. An ancient and primitive secret language of the abyss seemed to echo through the flaming sun abyss through their shouts. In the air, many invisible abyss devil patterns spread in waves. Qianlai and Cohen listened to the roaring of the sacrificial ghost purgatory abyss devils, their gazes turning grave. They had to activate their bloodline power to resist the waves of the patterns in the sky that came at them. Yes, Ling Yushir and I are engaged. Qianlai pressed one hand on his chest, the other tapping his forehead. His eyes sharpened. You have objections? The thick abyss devil energy that had gathered around Locke and his subordinates suddenly retracted at Qianlai's gesture. The abyss devil energy resembled purple snakes that slithered their way back to Qianlai. It gathered into an enormous whirlpool, with Qianlai in the very center. He himself was the center of the whirlpool. What objections do I have? You ask if I have objections? Locke snarled. The daughter of the Nine Hells monarch has his powerful soul hell bloodline latent ability, the core ability of the Nine Hells monarch. If I can marry her, I can use that powerful bloodline latent ability to strengthen my power. I can use her bloodline power to advance my bloodline, and have hope of becoming a rank 10 Great Lord of the Abyss, and become the Devil Monarch of the Sacrificial Ghost Purgatory. Oh, and Qianlai stood in the center of the enormous purple-black whirlpool like a glacier. Then she and the Nine Hells monarch refused you together? Locke suddenly gave a beastly howl. She said I am inferior to you and do not qualify to take her hand. Qianlai nodded and said seriously, "It is true." Locke howled wildly. Strange abyss devil patterns flashed on his body, becoming clearly visible. The refined clothing he wore turned to dust at the eruption of his bloodline power. Completely naked, Locke roared wildly in the air, his seemingly tall and thin body expanding and transforming at a visible rate. "Do not interfere. I will crush him with my own hands and swallow his heart," Locke shouted. The heavily armored abyss devils behind him did not make a sound, and retreated. They clearly had absolute confidence in Locke's strength and believed the bloodline descendant of the sacrificial ghost monarch had an absolute advantage in other abyss levels. Usually, the abyss devils of the 8 purgatories had stronger bloodlines at the same rank. The bloodline descendants of the devil monarchs were known to be stronger than the descendants of the other levels' great lords of the abyss. This was why Cohen of the Black Bog Abyss had a serious expression once he confirmed Locke came from the sacrificial ghost purgatory. This was the newly formed Flaming Sun Abyss, and not the Black Bog Abyss that had given birth to Cohen. The powerful bloodline latent abilities he had could only be used to full effect in the Black Bog Abyss. In the unfamiliar Flaming Sun Abyss, even Cohen had no confidence he could win against the bloodline descendant of a devil monarch. Due to this, when he saw Cohen was undergoing devilization after being provoked by Qianlai, he wisely retreated to the side. "Qianlai, you are the creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss. You should have your advantages in this level." Cohen spoke to Qianlai as he retreated. "If you can use your advantage wisely, maybe you have a chance of victory, but just a thread." He did not want to see Locke kill Qianlai. He was a true member of the Abyss Devil race and understood the sacrificial ghost purgatory and its monarch better than Qianlai. Locke was a bloodline descendant of the sacrificial ghost monarch and must have also inherited the other's temper. This meant that if he killed Qianlai and became the creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss, all the beings who entered the Flaming Sun Abyss would be killed. Right now, Cohen was considering if he should leave the Flaming Sun Abyss while Locke and Qianlai fought. Yet just as he had this thought, Locke's words ruthlessly interrupted him. "All the people who have gathered near the Origin Sea and those who came later are not allowed to leave," Locke said. The heavily armored abyss devils who had come from the sacrificial ghost purgatory heard his orders, their murderous gazes concentrating on Cohen. Cohen's brow furrowed. He immediately dismissed the thought of leaving and stopped in the air. He knew with his own strength he was not a match for so many armored abyss devils. He remained in place. "I need you to see how I tear him apart and eat his abyss devil heart," Locke said, licking the corners of his mouth. "All right," Cohen nodded. At the same time, a seemingly ordinary abyss devil stopped in another part of the Origin Sea and raised his hand. Octon suddenly stopped and asked curiously, "What is it?" Thamer, who had taken possession of an abyss devil, had green ghost fire flashing in his purple eyes. He seemed to open his soul eye and pointed at the gray sky. "A group of powerful abyss devils has surrounded Qianlai. One of them should come from the sacrificial ghost purgatory." "Sacrificial ghost purgatory?" Octon shook. "If I am not wrong, he should be the bloodline descendant of the sacrificial ghost monarch. He is undergoing devilization right now. The presence of the sacrificial ghost monarch's bloodline is growing clearer." Thamer took a deep breath as though he smelled something. There's another abyss devil with terrifying corrosive presence as well. He should come from the Black Bog Abyss. We do not have to hurry. Let them tire out Qianlai first. Octan nodded and stopped. Those people did not enter the origin world with us back then. They do not know how difficult Qianlai is. Thamer laughed lowly. Right now, the presence that Qianlai gives off is only that of an abyss devil. He has not used his god race bloodline, merged with the flesh-filling tombstone, or utilized the spirit energy the spirit realm races use. That person from the sacrificial ghost purgatory thinks that Qianlai is only a lucky abyss devil. So pitiful, Octan said in schadenfreude. That guy doesn't even know that Digga, who had also come from one of the purgatories, was soundly defeated by Qianlai. I am very happy a pitiful worm will first test the waters for us. Thamer laughed darkly. At the edge of the origin sea, Qianlai activated his abyss devil race bloodline and manipulated the threads of abyss devil energy to form an enormous whirlpool with him as the center. He was at the center of the whirlpool, his expression cold, his eyes flashing with light. He appeared eerie and unfathomable. He seemed to be waiting for Locke to finish devilization. Howl! Locke's frenzied howl reverberated through the world. Accompanied by popping sounds, Locke's thin body gradually grew enormous. The abyss devil race bloodline power flooding through his body grew in strength and supported his body to finish devilization. The heavy-armored abyss devils who had come from the sacrificial ghost purgatory were far away, their gazes occasionally wandering to Cohen. Cohen did not dare to move. The abyss devils were silently waiting for Locke to finish devilization and for him and Qianlai to fight each other to the death. Cohen suddenly seemed to feel something. His gaze moved slightly away from Qianlai. He looked into the distance. There were two meteors of blue light flashing through the skies. Spirit race. Cohen was shocked. He could not understand why two spirit race females would enter the flaming sun abyss. He did not think it was possible for the spirit race to become abyss creators after eating Qianlai's heart. He had never heard of anything like it. In his moment of thought, the two flowing lights suddenly stopped in the sky above the origin sea. Indigo and Betty appeared after the blue light disappeared. They looked curiously at Whirlpool with Qianlai at the center and Locke undergoing devilization. Oh! Indigo glanced at Qianlai and then exclaimed as she covered her mouth, her eyes filled with shock. The Qianlai at the center of the whirlpool of thick abyss devil energy and the Qianlai she was familiar with looked like two different entities. If not for their bloodline's unique history, she would not have recognized Qianlai. Similarly, Betty of the Daniels family had a puzzled expression. That is Qianlai? Betty frowned and looked at Qianlai, who had undergone advanced devilization. She did not disguise her dislike. He clearly is a high-rank abyss devil. She disliked all abyss devils. Based on the information she had before, Qianlai was a mixed blood of the god race and spirit realm's human race. His appearance should not be that much different from their spirit races. She never expected to see Qianlai looking like a high-rank abyss devil after devilization. She never thought of the abyss devils as highly intelligent races. Seeing Qianlai, she was greatly disappointed. He originally was not like this. Indigo calmed after a while and said, after the flaming sun abyss formed, with him as the creator, something must have happened. But no matter what, no matter how he has changed, if I know it is him, it is enough. Betty stilled and then giggled. She said, up to you. I am just responsible for helping you against Octan. Spirit race. Cohen of the Black Bog Abyss flapped his abyss devil wings and looked at them. Why have you come here? Another dislikable person. Betty covered her nose. I dislike abyss devils, especially ones from the Black Bog Abyss. Your smell makes me want to stay away. You are here, why cannot we? Indigo snorted. Cohen's gaze swept Betty and his expression turned serious. I think I know who you are. Good, Betty said unconcernedly. After guessing Betty's identity, Cohen of the Black Bog Abyss did not seem to want trouble. In the face of Betty's disdain, he chose to remain silent. He clearly knew how powerful Betty was. As the spirit seed of the spirit race, Betty's bloodline had three attributes. She was stronger than Locke from the sacrificial ghost purgatory in both status and strength. Betty was a genius who could become the next leader of the spirit race. A person like this would only appear once every 10,000 years in the spirit race. Her rarity and strength would not be any inferior to the descendants of the devil monarchs. Because he knew Betty's status, Cohen endured and stayed silent. "Sister Betty, you are very famous," Indigo said softly. Cohen's wary gaze was locked onto Betty. He clearly thought of Betty as a great enemy. Even the armored abyss devils from the sacrificial ghost purgatory had serious expressions after they saw Betty. They were obviously aware of Betty's identity. Indigo had 4 bloodline attributes and should be the brightest star in this world. And yet, all the terrified and anxious gazes were fixed on Betty. This caused Indigo, who was still slightly wet behind the ears, to feel secretly irritated. Betty giggled and brushed her hair, saying, "I was famous earlier than you. I've been fighting for our race since my bloodline was rank 5. When my bloodline reached rank 7, I was fighting on my own in the abyss. In these years, there have been at least 100 high-rank abyss devils who died by my hands. They know my name. It is only reasonable for them to fear me." Then she looked with a smile at the armored abyss devils from the sacrificial ghost purgatory and said, "The bottom levels, the 8 purgatories. I've killed 3 descendants of those so-called devil monarchs. They are nothing special." At these words, even Indigo was shocked and looked at Betty with a hint of respect in her eyes. Last time in that world, she encountered Digga of the Yellow Springs Purgatory. At the time, Digga was the leader of all the abyss devils that had come to the origin world. Many of the spirit race clansmen had died at Digga's hands. She knew his strength. Later, she encountered Ling Yushir. The control over soul that Ling Yushir had displayed via her soul hell ability was astounding. After experiencing it for herself, she learned the abyss devils of the 8 purgatories were much stronger than abyss devils of other levels. Betty killed 3 of these monsters. This was a testament to her strength. No wonder the abyss devil from the Black Bog Abyss and the armored abyss devils from the sacrificial ghost purgatory had such serious expressions when they guessed her identity. Betty of the spirit race? At this time, Locke, who had finished devilization, suddenly stared at her and snarled, "When I eat the heart of this abyss creator, I will slowly tear you apart. Just watch. Oh, if you are able, give it a try. Let's see who tears apart whom." Betty's smile did not fade. "Good," Locke shouted. After devilization, Locke was 4 meters tall and completely covered in mysterious abyss devil patterns. He had a snake-like tail behind his back. That tail was also covered in patterns. As his tail swayed, the abyss devil patterns seemed to come alive and gave off clear ripples of energy. The scale armor on his body resembled a suit of dragon scales, perfectly fitting his body. With each breath, they released abyss devil energy. In his hand was a thin sword. The blade exuded a unique presence of a great lord of the abyss. His demeanor struck a clear contrast to the maddened howls during his devilization. The blood vessels on his hand which held the sword suddenly bulged and then wrapped around the hilt of the sword, connecting it to his bloodline. This sword was made from the spine of a great lord of the abyss. "My father gave this to me." Locke grinned and said to Qianlai, "My father killed that great lord of the abyss before he became a devil monarch. He was the archenemy of my father. His heart fueled my father's ascension to the devil monarch of the sacrificial ghost purgatory. His spine turned into this sword in my hand. Now I will give you a taste of his presence." Devilized Locke thrusted the sword. Its tip pointed at Qianlai several hundred meters away. The abyss devil patterns on Locke's body shifted like clouds. His bloodline power flooded into the sword through the bloody veins that wrapped around the sword hilt. The thin sword released a ray of light which seemed to ignore time and space, immediately arriving at Qianlai's chest. Qianlai looked thoughtfully at the sword Locke held. From several hundred meters away, he only saw the tip of Locke's sword flash. He didn't see the light leave the sword tip. Yet on his chest a clear hole appeared. Blood seeped out. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't stop its leak. His expression suddenly grew serious. That sword made from the spine of a great lord of the abyss could attack with light that ignored the limitations of space, boasting terrifying penetrative power. Pew! A strange sound came from his back. A tiny dot flashed. He couldn't help but grunt. Not long ago, he used the spike on his elbow, along with the golden light ability of his bloodline to create a bloody hole in Cohen's wing. He had not thought a similar wound would appear on him so soon. How is it? Do you feel pain? Locke snickered. The sword connected to his hand moved amid his laughter. Qianlai's brow suddenly felt a piercing and burning pain. A black dot appeared from Qianlai's forehead. The soul-suppressing orb under his flesh suddenly felt danger. Qianlai immediately understood. Locke's sword was now pointing at his forehead. If it passed through his forehead and also through his head, his soul would be immediately destroyed. Once his soul was destroyed, Locke could easily come to him and dig out his Abyss Devil heart. In Locke's eyes, he was 100% Abyss Devil. Locke did not penetrate his Abyss Devil heart because he clearly wanted to eat it. Locke thought if he completely consumed that heart, he could become the new Abyss creator. This was why he had not targeted Qianlai's heart the first time. The most important vital points of majority of races were the heart and the place their soul resided in. However, that made them also the biggest targets for their enemies. Locke could not penetrate his Abyss Devil heart, so he targeted the place where Qianlai's soul was, his forehead. But he never would have expected that the soul-suppressing orb, a holy relic of the soul race, was hiding under Qianlai's flesh. When the soul-suppressing orb felt danger, it burned, causing Qianlai a piercing pain. Locke had no way of detecting that. He poured bloodline power into the sword and attacked with the same method. Light flashed at the sword tip. Locke let out a shout in his mind. He suddenly saw Qianlai's eyes fill up with darkness. Then, he saw pure black energy explode out of the center of Qianlai's forehead. In his eyes, the black energy expanded and became a deep black hole. In the next moment, an unfathomable soul vibration appeared and wreaked havoc in his mind. Boom! Locke shuddered violently and begun bleeding from his orifices. What's even more shocking is that blood begun seeping out of his mouth. The bright light in his eyes immediately dimmed. His soul had clearly been grievously wounded. Snap! Snap, snap! The bloody veins that were wrapped around the hilt snapped. Veins popped, the blood inside spraying around. The Abyss Devil patterns covering his body stopped moving. His long tail stopped swaying. Locke's face was terrified. He stared at Qianlai's forehead, wanting to see what was hiding inside. But he could only see a dot of black energy contracting and disappearing into Qianlai's flesh. The light in Qianlai's eyes gradually dissipated, and his eyes turned back to dark purple. A good sword. Based on the ranking of artifacts in Spirit Realm, it should have reached the divine grade. His tone was aloof. His body, hidden in the whirlpool, slowly started to move. As he moved, the whirlpool around him followed. It was as if a black maw was moving towards Locke, threatening to devour him. The moving black maw greatly increased Qianlai's presence. Locke, and even the armored Abyss Devils behind him, saw Qianlai gathering his power. As the whirlpool grew more terrifying, they appeared anxious. They instinctively moved towards Locke. "All of you stop!" Locke shouted hoarsely. "Young master!" An armored Abyss Devil from the sacrificial ghost purgatory said urgently. "Do you think I have lost?" Locke shouted back. The Abyss Devil who had been about to dissuade him saw his expression and stopped. "As expected, I cannot rely too much on something that is not grown from my body." Locke bared his teeth and muttered. He put away the strange sword, moved his limbs and took a deep breath. He adjusted himself. At this time, more outsiders that had entered the Flaming Sun Abyss appeared near the Origin Sea. Some were floating in the air like Betty and Indigo, observing Qianlai and Locke's fight. There were also Abyss Devils hiding in the tall plants, using their bloodline and soul power to observe the battle in secret. Many of them had heard Locke's shouts during devilization and were attracted over. Some of them heard the noise made during the fight, smelled the Abyss Devil race bloodline, and came over. Most of the newcomers were Abyss Devils, but there were some foreign races. Those who dared to ignore Locke's warning and came over even after feeling Locke's bloodline presence had to be powerful. More people. In the air, Cohen of the Black Bog Abyss looked at the powerful people coming closer and frowned. He could feel their bodies' presences, not at all inferior to his own. This meant some of the people were as strong as he was. Cohen looked at Betty and then the armored abyss devils from the sacrificial ghost purgatory. He sighed lowly. He was inwardly given up. Why is it him? A high-rank abyss devil holding a flame axe frowned in midair after seeing Qianlai. He was Vitas of the extreme flame abyss, the son of the lord of the abyss Florus. He was a mixed blood between a flame demon and a succubus. In the extreme flame abyss he had fought Qianlai once. But before they ended the fight, his big brother Avery had interrupted. Then Qianlai killed Avery. After his older brother's death, Vitas was still lowly in the eyes of the bloodline descendants of Florus because of his succubus bloodline. Even the lord of the abyss Florus thought nothing of Vitas. Not long ago, a rank 9 bloodline expert of the Blaze family had attacked Florus and managed to kill him. The flame demons led by Florus all scattered. Vitas luckily managed to survive and entered the abyss passageway under the guidance of some old flame demons. He attempted to travel to other abyss levels and increase his own knowledge. He knew that a new abyss level had formed. He realized this was an opportunity. Adding on his recent breakthrough to rank 8, he took a risk and entered the Flaming Sun Abyss. He had never expected the creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss to be Qianlai. While Qianlai was in the form of a abyss devil, he, who had fought Qianlai before, managed to recognize Qianlai. Wasn't he from the god race? Vitas was confused. Qianlai kept moving while staring at his surroundings with cool eyes from inside the whirlpool of thick abyss devil energy. Betty, Indigo, the abyss devils, and all other outsiders in the open or in the dark. No one was able to escape his detection. Naturally, he was able to identify Vitas of the extreme flame abyss in an instant as well. However, the realization only made him pause for a short moment before he looked away. It was because Vitas wasn't all that impressive compared to the horde of outsiders currently gathered in the Flaming Sun Abyss. Not to mention that the Abyss Devil hadn't awakened any deadlier bloodline yet. Ever since he had absorbed the Soul Beast's memories, he had learned a little about the hidden secrets of the Abyss. He knew that there was a rank 10 succubus commander in the 8 purgatories, who had become a true devil monarch. Vitas's father, Florus, was just a rank 9 lord of the Abyss who probably hadn't had the opportunity to visit the 8 purgatories. That was why Florus wasn't aware that there was a powerful succubus in the 8 purgatories. When he had fought Vitas back in the days and learned that half his bloodline had descended from a succubus, he was surprised. Earlier, he had even marked Vitas as a potential threat. But he was no longer the same person as he was before. Not only had he battled in the origin world, he had even fought against direct descendants of the devil monarchs such as Diga before. His path had intersected with Hao Jie, Ming Su, Indigo, Octon, and Thamers as well. After he had gained a broader horizon and an increase in strength, he no longer thought of Vitas as a potential threat. Even if Vitas were to awaken the hidden bloodline in his body right away, he still didn't think that he was powerful enough to pose a threat to him. It was because Diga, Octon, and Hao Jie were all at the level of a direct descendant of a devil monarch. Even if Vitas were to awaken his hidden bloodline right away, he still wouldn't exceed the likes of Diga, Octon, and Locke. At his current strength, he was strong enough to deal with anything they threw at him with confidence. While Qianlai was examining his surroundings from the center of the whirlpool, the outsiders were examining him as well. After Qianlai had undergone devilization, spikes had protruded out of his shoulder area, elbows, and knees. His entire body was covered in a tough layer of purple and black armor as well. The devilization made him look both sinister and cruel, accentuated by the purple light flashing in his merciless eyes. To Vitas and the rest of the outsiders, the creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss was a mysterious and dangerous man. No one dared to look down on him just because he was only at rank 8, especially after Locke from Sacrificial Ghost Purgatory had obviously suffered a deep blow to his soul. It was only natural that he had won the respect of these outsiders since he had proven himself capable of wounding the powerful descendant of a devil monarch. I am his opponent. Locke didn't even look at the outsiders behind him. The scaly armor on his body suddenly glowed brightly with savage light. His huge tail swung back and forth while causing sonic booms. When an extremely powerful bloodline energy suddenly erupted from Locke's body, the Abyss Devil instantly transformed into a ray of purple light and charged into the whirlpool. Bang! The whirlpool Xianxia had created using rich Abyss Devil energy suddenly dissipated after Locke had entered. The two devilized Abyss Devils stood in the gray sky and engaged in melee, close-quarters combat. Bang! Thump thump! With every clash, purple sparks flint off the point of contact. In just a blink of an eye, Locke and Xianxia had struck one another almost 100 times. Pa! Locke's huge tail struck Xianxia fiercely from the back, making him as if a grand war chariot had charged at him. Clang! But Xianxia immediately retaliated with a knee blow to Locke's chest, the spike on his knees causing sparks to fly off Locke's armor. The two Abyss Devils danced, struck, and sent sparks all over the place before they fell from the sky all of a sudden. Boom! The two men continued to hit each other wildly like some crazed demonic beasts even after they had fallen to the ground, amid thick abyss flora. The deadly plants were scattered like cotton after the duo's violent descent. It didn't take long before dozens of giant man-shaped holes appeared on the hard ground as well. Naturally, the holes were something the two combatants had created during their fight. This was the way of fighting the Abyss Devils loved the most. Those of the Abyss Devil race all had incredibly tough bodies, and the instinct to fight in close range was as natural as the blood in their bodies to them. After Xianxia's body had taken the form of the Abyss Devil, his sharp claws and his spiked shoulders, elbows and knees had all turned into natural weapons. Locke's tail was incredibly strong and possessed immense binding power. Xianxia ran the risk of being suffocated every time he was caught by the Abyss Devil's tail. Every time this happened, he would throw his sharpest attacks at Locke's neck, eyes, and face. It was because there were no natural scales protecting these parts of Locke's body. It didn't take long for Xianxia and Locke's bodies to become covered in bloody wounds. However, some of their wounds had turned into scabs during the battle because they both possessed extraordinary recovery ability. Neither combatants had used their bloodline ability. They continued to tear one another in close quarters, the way that the Abyss Devils most favored since ancient times, from the sky all the way to the ground. It was almost like they were two bloodthirsty Abyss Devils. Bang! The duo clashed once more before they separated from one another and stood on two sides of the damaged ground. The two Abyss Devils stared at each other with intimidating eyes. Locke wiped away the blood staining the corner of his mouth. He felt like every muscle inside his body was twitching involuntarily, and his tail was dragging limply on the floor. Any place on his body that wasn't covered in armor was bleeding profusely. In fact, much of his scaly armor had shattered under Xianxia's attacks. Xianxia's own condition was about the same. He had lost a couple of spikes around his shoulders and knee area. His body was covered in bloody marks as well. His back especially was struck so badly by Locke's tail that it was a mess of flesh and blood. Anyone who was looking closer at the wound would notice glowing bones and wriggling veins beneath Xianxia's flesh. It was literally a wound that went as deep as the bone. Xianxia spat out a mouthful of dirty blood before chuckling. Interesting. He had engaged another high-rank Abyss Devil in the way most favored by the Abyss Devils after devilization, pure melee combat. He wanted to fight like this so he could familiarize himself with his devilized form and recognize just how powerful the body of an Abyss Devil truly was. After this battle, he finally figured out that his Abyss Devil form was a tad stronger than his God race body in terms of physical strength. A long time ago, his body had evolved when he awakened his God race bloodline. However, his evolved body was mostly functioning in service of his God race bloodline. Its main focus was to enhance the activity of the God race bloodline in his body. After this battle, he could arrive to a definitive conclusion. Amplification to his physical strength was decisively lower for the God race form. Every time he assumed Abyss Devil form, his vast Abyss Devil race bloodline would power up his body to the max. Devilization might consume a large amount of bloodline energy, but in exchange he would be granted a physical body that was as powerful as the greatest armor or weapon. That was why Abyss Devils were never afraid of close-quarters combat. Body of a Abyss Devil after transformation was as tough as steel, and their self-healing ability was straight off the charts. Their boiling bloodline also enhanced their fighting instincts, transformed their entire body into sharp weapons, and multiplied their physical endurance by several times over. There were many sayings among the races of the universe, and one of them was never engage a high-rank Abyss Devil in close combat. It was wise. After all, everyone knew that Abyss Devils were strongest in melee range. While Locke was still panting, Qianlai was already chuckling and walking straight towards Locke. The laws of the Abyss are fair, you know. As an Abyss creator, I am required to accept any challenge to my throne, but at the same time, my regenerative powers are tens of times stronger than outside my Abyss level, Qianlai said while walking. This is so that I can recover my strength fast enough to face the next challenger in line. Suddenly, the whirlpool that had crumbled earlier because of Locke's attack magically appeared around Qianlai once more. The whirlpool of rich Abyss Devil energy immediately injected his Abyss Devil body with strength. Soon after, Qianlai's body brimmed with power once again. However, Locke looked just the same as before. He clearly hadn't recovered much from the earlier clash. To beat me, you must finish me off in one go and give me no chance to recover. Qianlai shook his head and said, "You have missed your best chance." Qianlai and the giant whirlpool suddenly rushed towards Locke. Locke's limp body was abruptly sucked into the whirlpool. Then, the giant whirlpool slowly floated up into the air. "Who's next?" Qianlai yelled. "Who's next?" Qianlai declared while standing proudly at the center of the whirlpool, staring at the Abyss Devils gathered before him. The Abyss Devils and the group led by Indigo and Betty had been paying attention to Qianlai and Locke's battle all this time. They all saw Locke being devoured by the giant whirlpool. They were all looking for Locke. But no matter how they tried to look or perceive with their souls, they weren't able to capture a trace of Locke's figure inside the whirlpool. Many Abyss Devils started to feel like dark clouds had crept upon them. "Where's Locke?" This was the thought shared by the Abyss Devils. They were starting to grow wary because they couldn't find Locke no matter how they tried. They had no idea that Qianlai was recovering the bloodline energy he had spent during the battle at an unimaginable rate. The spinning whirlpool was made from rich Abyss Devil energy. Since he was the creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss, the laws of the Abyss favored him when he was fighting against other Abyss Devils of the similar strength. He would recover bloodline energy much faster compared to any other Abyss level for as long as he stayed inside the Flaming Sun Abyss. This was an advantage that was unique to the Abyss creator alone. It was why the Abyss creator could fight consecutive battles under the laws of the Abyss. This was so that the challengers couldn't exhaust the Abyss creator through attrition warfare and kill him in such a low manner. "Where's the young master?" The heavily armored Abyss Devils who hailed from Ghost's sacrificial purgatory finally felt anxious when Locke failed to show up after a while. At this point, the dozen or so rank 8 heavily armored Abyss Devils were completely ignoring Vitas or Cohen. They were all roaring and surrounding Qianlai from all directions. "Locke!" Qianlai chuckled sinisterly. "You wish to see him?" "Of course we do," the leader yelled in response. Qianlai nodded before answering, "All right, I'll let you see him." Locke suddenly reappeared from the whirlpool right after his reply. Wounded from head to toe, Locke's figure slowly appeared from the whirlpool. Crack, crack. Then, the Abyss Devil's body started falling apart like it was being torn apart by a meat grinder. Locke was 10 meters tall. His Abyss Devil body hadn't changed too much even though it was heavily wounded in battle. However, the tough scales that covered his body were currently being ripped apart one by one as if with an invisible hand. After Locke's scales were completely stripped from his body, he looked as fragile as a peeled egg. Giant chunks of bleeding flesh were also falling of his torso during the stripping process. Even Locke's giant tail had become shortened in just a moment. When the Abyss Devils stared at Locke, they discovered that his eyes were glassy and soulless. They couldn't sense any soul activity from him even though he was hovering right before their eyes. This meant that Locke was already dead. Bloodline ability, Devil Devouring. Qin Lai snorted coldly in his mind as he activated his Abyss Devil Race bloodline. He could see the deep purple bloodline crystals glowing brightly the instant he activated his bloodline ability. Dazzling rays of purple light spilled out of his pores and made him look as bright as a purple light ball. Pu. Bloody marks kept appearing all across Locke's body until his still beating heart was seemingly dug out of his body. Swoosh! Locke's Abyss Devil heart fell squarely in Qin Lai's palm. SSSSSSSS. Visible threads of bloody purple light then flowed out of Locke's heart and vanished into Qin Lai's palm. The heart grew smaller and smaller. The purest form of Abyss Devil energy and a portion of an ancient and mysterious bloodline mark that were originally Locke's were transferred into Qin Lai's body. It was all thanks to the bloodline ability Qin Lai had recently gotten, Devil Devouring. In truth, the Devil Devouring wasn't exactly an impressive bloodline ability. In fact, nearly every Abyss Devil was born with it. However, Qin Lai's way of using Devil Devouring was slightly different from most Abyss Devils. Normally, an Abyss Devil would devour their enemy's heart directly in one gulp. Then, they would use Devil Devouring to digest the secrets and powers contained within. The Abyss Devils fought one another since the moment they were born. Normally, the victor of a battle would literally tear and devour their opponent completely. After that, they would use Devil Devouring to refine their enemy's flesh, blood and heart bit by bit to strengthen their own bloodline. An Abyss Devil's bloodline was constantly changing. Every time an Abyss Devil had beaten a powerful opponent and eaten their heart, they would be able to use the enemy's Abyss Devil race bloodline to strengthen their own. The reason they could do this was because all Abyss Devil race bloodline had shared the same source. This meant that nearly all Abyss Devil race bloodlines could be merged into one and be used to fix the flaws of one's bloodline. One might even say that the Abyss Devil race's bloodline was extremely similar to Qin Lai's perfect blood. After all, an Abyss Devil could kill their enemies, absorb their bloodline and use it to increase their bloodline rank and awaken more powerful bloodline abilities. The perfect bloods pattern was more or less the same. However, Devil Devouring could only be used on another Abyss Devil. It wouldn't enhance an Abyss Devil's bloodline if the opponent was from another race. It would only restore their strength. The perfect blood was different. The perfect blood could absorb any living being's bloodline to fix and perfect itself. This was why the perfect blood was so incredible. No matter how much an Abyss Devil used Devil Devouring, their bloodline could only ever benefit from another Abyss Devil's bloodline. They could never obtain another race's bloodlines or abilities. But the perfect blood could. Right now, Qin Lai was using Devil Devouring to refine Locke's Abyss Devil heart and absorb it into his own bloodline. Truth be told, the effects could have been achieved by devouring the heart raw. It was just that his current method was a little more civilized. Be it absorption through Devil Devouring or the live consumption and gradual digestion, they both enhanced the Abyss Devil race bloodline. It was clear that the surrounding Abyss Devils, Betty and Indigo, all understood this. When they saw Qin Lai digging Locke's heart out of his chest and absorbing both his bloodline and power completely, they all understood Locke had been eaten by him. The heavily armored Abyss Devils of Ghost Sacrificial Purgatory finally lost their cool, roared and charged like they'd gone mad. Meanwhile, Qin Lai had replenished much of his Abyss Devil race bloodline energy thanks to the whirlpool. The bloodline energy contained inside Locke's crushed body had also been converted and became part of the whirlpool of Abyss Devil energy. Qin Lai could sense Locke's flesh and blood aura in the energy he injected into himself with Devil Devouring. He immediately understood that the whirlpool had crushed Locke's body to replenish his bloodline energy, just like he had refined Locke's heart to gain its power. He could sense a clear spike of power and stamina thanks to the absorption. His eyes shone with glaring purple light, unique to the Abyss Devils, once more. Roaring angrily, he and the gigantic whirlpool suddenly charged the heavily armored Abyss Devils who hailed from Ghost Sacrificial Purgatory. Clang clang! He and the heavily armored Abyss Devils immediately engaged one another in bloody combat. The dozen or so rank 8 Abyss Devils also had extremely tough armor, but unfortunately for them, their armor was much weaker compared to Locke's devilized form scale armor. Rip! Qin Lai's elbow spike swiped past a heavily armored Abyss Devil's chest and cut its chest armor in half. The Abyss Devil's gray-dark skin was immediately exposed after the attack. Qin Lai abruptly stabbed him with his left arm, enemy's chest cavity replaced with a gaping hole. Just like that. The Abyss Devil let out a painful cry before it was tossed out of the whirlpool while squirting blood all the way. Clang clang. Another 3 Abyss Devils seized the opening to smash Qin Lai with their iron mace-like fists from his sides and back. Qin Lai let out a muffled groan before his mouth became filled with his own blood. He looked like a mountain had ran into him. You guys are so much weaker than Locke. But Qin Lai laughed sinisterly before shaking his head. This is the Flaming Sun Abyss. As its creator, attrition warfare isn't my weakness. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, the gigantic whirlpool split into a dozen or so smaller whirlpools in just a short time. The split whirlpools clung onto the heavily armored Abyss Devils and stopped them from attacking Qin Lai at the same time. The Abyss Devils who stayed in the open or in the dark were all staring intently at Qin Lai. They had all seen how Qin Lai had devoured Locke using Devil Devouring and his bloody battle against the heavily armored Abyss Devils of Ghost Sacrificial Purgatory. Even powerful Abyss Devils such as Cohen or Bidas started to worry about their trip to the Flaming Sun Abyss. They were all puzzled by Qin Lai's unusual strength. Normally speaking, only a rank 9 or 10 Abyss Devil could gain acceptance of an origin world and become an Abyss creator of the new Abyss level. Qin Lai was the very first rank 8 Abyss creator. Since they were all rank 8 Abyss Devils, there were a lot of wonders in their bloodline that they hadn't had a chance to awaken yet. They didn't know what kind of advantage a creator had in their own abyss. They didn't know of the boost in recovery that was bestowed upon Qin Lai by the laws of the abyss. Because of that, they were shocked when they saw Qin Lai fighting Locke in an epic battle, just to recover his peak battle power instantly after. They knew Qin Lai had used up a lot of his strength, just like Locke. He shouldn't have been able to recover this quickly. As an Abyss Devil, they all knew that Devil Devouring only really devoured the enemy's bloodline secrets and essence. As a bloodline ability, Devil Devouring didn't actually restore one's strength too quickly. Devil Devouring would only strengthen one's bloodline slowly. Moreover, Qin Lai's Devil Devouring shouldn't be finished yet. It was impossible for Qin Lai to absorb Locke's bloodline essence so quickly into his own body. However, the vast bloodline power emanating from Qin Lai's body was no lie either. Strange. Cohen shook his head once before saying, he shouldn't have recovered this quickly. This guy was clearly covered in wounds after his battle against Locke. But now, when he looked closer, he discovered that Qin Lai had regrown the spikes on his shoulders, knees, and elbows again. They looked just as sharp as they were before. In the fierce battle moments earlier, Qin Lai had lost a considerable number of his spikes. Having all of them back so soon defied common sense. Little Sister Indigo, are you sure he's not a pure Abyss Devil? Betty asked suddenly. She was extremely curious about Qin Lai herself. She had watched Qin Lai and Locke's battle from the start to the end closely. She hadn't detected a single trace of God Race aura from him throughout the fight. She hadn't detected the spirit energy Indigo claimed he had either. In her eyes and senses, Qin Lai was the purest kind of Abyss Devil one could find. This was different from what she had gathered. The reason she had entered the Flaming Sun Abyss in the first place was to take a look at this Qin Lai with her own eyes. It was because he was greatly praised by the old fogey. More specifically, all her understanding regarding Qin Lai had come from Great Sage Tianqi. Through Great Sage Tianqi, she had learned that Qin Lai's bloodline was unique, and that it was the creation of one of 3 blood and soul mentors of the universe, Lian Yuan. Lian Yuan was the Blaze family's previous family patriarch and boasted legendary fame just like Great Sage Tianqi, a testament to how terrifying he really was. According to Great Sage Tianqi, the fates of all races rested on Qin Lai, but she hadn't seen anything out of the ordinary until now. His body has largely changed since the last time I met him. I'm not sure what has happened either, Indigo said quietly. Clearly, the Qin Lai she knew hadn't looked like this. Does this mean that his body will undergo a great change every once in a while? Betty's eyes lit up. Indigo nodded slightly in response. Betty's interest finally seemed to return as she smiled. It wouldn't be interesting otherwise. While she was speaking with Indigo, she discovered that the heavily armored abyss devils from Ghost's sacrificial purgatory were gradually being killed by Qianlai one by one. Although they were all at rank 8 bloodline, it was clear that the heavily armored abyss devils' individual strength paled compared to Locke. Their real advantage lay on their familiarity with each other and the cooperation between different bloodlines. Unfortunately for them, they were bogged down by the tiny whirlpools and prevented from utilizing their advantage at all. It looked as if the laws of the abyss would simply not allow them to use their numbers to overpower Qianlai. They had no choice but to fight on their own. One-on-one, it was clear that these heavily armored abyss devils were no match for Qianlai. After Locke had perished, his subordinates were gradually being killed by Qianlai as well. The onlooking abyss devils also noticed that Qianlai would dig out his fallen opponent's hearts from time to time. He used devil devouring to refine all the hearts on his palm, and it didn't take long before they vanished from sight. About an hour later, the dozen or so heavily armored abyss devils from Ghost's sacrificial purgatory had all been slaughtered. The scattered whirlpools soon gathered in one place, forming the giant whirlpool of abyss devil energy once again. Just like after his battle with Locke, Qianlai was mutilated heavily from the battle. There were many wounds on his pitch-black armor. His shoulder spikes and claws were broken or cracked, and even his face and neck area looked bloodied. Hovering in the air, Qianlai panted heavily in the middle of the giant whirlpool. Even the light in his eyes had gone dim. Once again, the outsiders could see that Qianlai had used up too much strength after fighting against those heavily armored abyss devils. As the creator of an abyss level, his recovery ability is tens of times greater than normal as long as he stays inside his own abyss level. It was at this moment an average-looking high-rank abyss devil suddenly appeared in the distance. Every time he finishes a battle, he can recuperate his strength quickly through the rich amount of abyss devil energy that exists inside those whirlpools. For example, he is restoring his bloodline energy at an extraordinary speed right now. Oh right, since he had killed those abyss devils from Ghost's sacrificial purgatory, their flesh and blood energy has been absorbed into the whirlpool as well. This meant that he'd be recovering even faster than before. If you aren't able to kill him during this window of opportunity, he'll soon regain his power and be able to face you all in full strength once more. The average-looking abyss devil explained in a careless manner while floating far, far away from Qianlai. He seemed to be extremely well-versed in the ancient laws of the abyss. Everyone was wondering how Qianlai was able to recover this quickly before his appearance. But now that this abyss devil had exposed the truth, everyone immediately figured out the key to victory. They immediately believed the abyss devil's explanation. Thamer! Inside the whirlpool, Qianlai stared coldly at the soul race clansman who was now possessing the body of an abyss devil. You got away with your life last time, and now you show your face here? In the past, he had fought Thamer soul to soul before. Since his soul was imprinted with the secret arts of the soul race, Qianlai had memorized Thamer's soul presence deeply. This meant that Qianlai could recognize him no matter who Thamer was possessing, unless the latter had altered his very soul origin. Hee, how impressive! Not only have you become an abyss creator, you've even gained the body of an abyss devil. Thamer chuckled strangely at Qianlai. You're making me more and more curious about your secrets. He's Thamer. Betty looked surprised for a moment. Then, she immediately looked around her before chuckling out loud. What are you waiting for, Octon? Come out already. She finally noticed Octon's presence. Octon was hoping to hide for a little longer, but he had no choice but to show himself after Betty had exposed him. He stared at Betty with a wretched look. Why are you here? He clearly had no wish to see Betty. We haven't met for a very long time. I came all the way to visit you when I heard you were here. Betty smiled like a blooming flower before winking seductively at Octon, saying, What's wrong? Don't you want to see me? Octon looked like he had just eaten a mouthful of feces. Not in the slightest. Betty was a spirit seed just like him, and she was the person Octon feared the most. For many years, He and Betty had participated in many operations and fought side by side. However, Betty kept trying to screw him over in every battle, and there were several times she came close to driving him over the brink of death. In his eyes, Betty was a troublemaker who was born for the sole purpose of making trouble for him. However, not only was Betty a spirit seed herself, she was stronger and deadlier than he was. It was something that irritated him deeply. He had tried several times to kill Betty, but he was the one who nearly got played to his death every time. After several failed attempts, he gave up on trying to best Betty completely and had avoided her like the plague since. "Betty, are you here for the Flaming Sun Abyss too?" Thamer was possessing an Abyss Devil's body when an idea suddenly entered his mind. He chuckled suddenly and said, "If that is the case, you should attack him right now." He pointed at Xianxia and said, "I'm very certain that he's in weakened state after killing those Abyss Devils from Ghost's sacrificial purgatory. However, this weakened state only lasts for an extremely short period of time, and he'll recover at least 80% of his bloodline energy in 15 minutes tops. If you can take him out in 15 minutes, then you'll be able to replace him and become the new creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for another opportunity." Thamer hoped that Betty could take action. Betty of the spirit race was extremely famous among the younger generation of the 4 transcendent bloodline races. Having observed everyone from the dark for a while, Thamer felt certain that Betty posed the biggest threat to Xianxia. In his opinion, the Abyss Devils gathered in the Flaming Sun Abyss didn't really stand a chance against Xianxia. Although Betty and Indigo might seem very close with each other, he knew that Betty was an unpredictable woman. Her mind could change at any moment. "You thought that I'm here for the same thing as Octon, didn't you?" Betty looked surprised. "You think that I will kill Indigo and replace her as the new patriarch of the spirit race? Am I wrong?" Thamer countered. "She has never been interested in the seat of our race's leader." Octon snorted coldly before continuing. "You don't understand her, Thamer. This woman's way of thinking is different from others. Do not judge her by a normal person's standards." Thamer was caught slightly off guard by his comment. In his opinion, there was almost no chance Octon could become the patriarch of the spirit race after their failed venture last time. In fact, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was scorned by almost every spirit race clansman. This meant that the only one left who had any real chance of competing against Indigo and becoming patriarch was Betty. If he was in Betty's place, he would do everything in his power to kill Indigo. In fact, any normal person would have done the same thing. Unfortunately, Betty was different from normal people. Inside the whirlpool, Xianxia continued to watch Betty, Octon and Thamer conversing with each other from the sidelines. He was more than glad to let them talk to their heart's content. Just like Thamer had guessed earlier, he was recovering at a tremendous speed every second. It wouldn't be long before his bloodline power was restored to its max once more. Once he was at full strength, he would be prepared to face the next challenger. It didn't matter if that challenger turned out to be Thamer or Octon. He wasn't afraid of either of them. As for Abyss Devils, they scared him even less, of course. Deep purple Abyss Devil energy flowed through his pores and into his body. The moment it entered his blood, it immediately moved towards his second heart, where his Abyss Devil race bloodline was residing, and enhanced its powers. At the same time, some of the Abyss Devil energy was also slipping quietly into his bones and internal organs, restoring his physical health. This was the Flaming Sun Abyss, and he was its creator. His recovery was swift in this place. When he concentrated, he discovered that the power residing in the hearts of Locke and the heavily armored Abyss Devils that he had absorbed with Devil Devouring was being converted into purple lights and absorbed into his second heart. The purple lights kept flashing with ancient marks of the Abyss Devil race when they entered his heart. The flashing Abyss Devil marks represented the runes and ancient language imprinted in one's Abyss Devil race bloodline. They contained their bloodline's essence and comprehension. Right now, these marks were being absorbed bit by bit into his Abyss Devil heart. After that, they would be broken apart, analyzed, converted, and fused into his Abyss Devil race bloodline. This process was slightly slower compared to the way the perfect blood absorbed other bloodlines. After carefully probing the changes inside his body for a moment, Qin Lai finally realized that this fusion was a function unique to the Abyss Devil race bloodline. It probably had nothing to do with the Perfect Blood's more time-efficient method. The reason he came to this conclusion was because aside from its speed, the Perfect Blood's fusion worked on all bloodline systems inside his body. Qin Lai's going to regain his strength if you keep wasting your time. Thamer's face darkened when he realized that he wasn't going to change Betty's mind. He turned to look at the Abyss Devils instead and asked, "Have you come all the way here just to take a look at the Abyss Creator's face? You realize that your fate will be the same as those Abyss Devils from Ghost's sacrificial purgatory once he regains his full strength. Surely none of you think that you're stronger than Locke? That you can defeat Qin Lai in a one-on-one fight?" Thamer tried to incite the Abyss Devils. But Betty smiled and said, "If you really believe that, then you should stop flapping your mouth and start acting. Don't you think? You are one of the people who came to the Flaming Sun Abyss, you know? If you know so much, then why don't you challenge Qin Lai yourself? Why do you have to encourage others to throw their lives away and claim all the goods to yourself afterward?" The Abyss Devils, who were almost persuaded by Thamer earlier, hesitated after her interruption. Naturally, their hesitation had bought Qin Lai even more time. He was more than glad to watch them bicker among themselves. Almost, Qin Lai counted silently in his mind. He knew that he would be able to fight to his heart's content again in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, at the top of an abyss passageway leading to the entrance of the Flaming Sun Abyss, a large number of powerful Abyss Devils could be seen gathering around this place. They were all rank 9 or rank 10 Abyss Devils. The reason they had come was to send their bloodline descendants into the Flaming Sun Abyss. Right now, the rank 8 Abyss Devils who were lingering near the Origin Sea, hovering in the air or hiding underground in the Flaming Sun Abyss, were all their descendants. The reason they were here was because of the dangers of the Abyss passageway. That was why they had emerged to escort their descendants all the way to the Flaming Sun Abyss, to ensure that they were unharmed and capable of challenging Qin Lai for the right over Flaming Sun Abyss at full strength. It was at this moment a gigantic figure covered in thick Abyss Devil energy suddenly appeared from above. The powerful Abyss Devils gathered in the area suddenly changed their expressions a little. All lords and great lords of the Abyss stared at him in unison. Ghost Sacrificial Devil Monarch. In the times without an Abyss Master, the 8 Devil Monarchs of the 8 Purgatories were the strongest Abyss Devils in the 109 levels of the Abyss. The great lords of the other Abyss levels had the same bloodline rank, but they were not a match for the 8 Devil Monarchs. The difference in strength was enormous. At this time, the Abyss Devils gathered in the Abyss passageway in front of the Flaming Sun Abyss were mostly rank 9 and 10. Even the rank 10 great lords of the Abyss there were not the strongest of their respective levels, but the weaker ones. Therefore, the difference between them and the Devil Monarchs was even greater. When the Devil Monarch of the Sacrificial Ghost Purgatory suddenly appeared by the entrance, all the Abyss Devils were alarmed. They did not know what had happened to attract a Devil Monarch of the 8 Purgatories here. The Sacrificial Ghost Monarch's blurry shadow shrouded in Abyss Devil energy constantly changed. This terrifying presence, however, did not. Every Abyss Devil knew that it was the real Devil Monarch of the Abyss. "One of my sons has died in the Flaming Sun Abyss," said the blurry shadow of the Sacrificial Ghost Monarch. The rank 9 and 10 Abyss Devils heard his words and instinctively retreated. In a flash, a great space emptied out around the Sacrificial Ghost Monarch. They were not sure what the Sacrificial Ghost Monarch would do. To avoid being harmed by his anger, it would be wise to stay further away from him. "However, I have many children, and several with rank 8 bloodline." The dense Abyss Devil energy where the Sacrificial Ghost Monarch was roiled wildly. "A dead child is trash and unworthy. Only those that are alive and can become the creator of the Flaming Sun Abyss will be of value to me. Locke is dead. This is a chance for you 3. If any of you kills that creator and eats his heart, I will support you to establish yourself in the Flaming Sun Abyss and give you a chance to reach the same level as me, the Devil Monarch of the 8 Purgatories." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The Abyss Devil energy suddenly grew wild. 3 enormous figures with snake tails like locks suddenly flew out. They roared as they charged towards the Abyss passageway heading for the Flaming Sun Abyss. I have several hundred bloodline descendants of different bloodline ranks and with all kinds of bloodlines. Having a dozen children die is nothing to me. You do not have to be nervous. The Sacrificia ghost monarch suddenly laughed. The abyss devils observing him warily sighed in relief. Bloodline descendants who cannot reach rank 9 are trash. He looked coldly at the abyss passageway and said ruthlessly, if the flaming sun abyss wasn't special and limited the entrance to rank 8 bloodlines, I would not care about the rank 8 trash. As he spoke, the figure of the sacrificial ghost monarch contracted inside the abyss passageway. In a flash, his enormous shadow turned to a black dot and disappeared. His presence completely vanished. A long time after he left, the rank 9 and 10 abyss devils slowly gathered by the entrance again. After a while, a burning ball of flame like a sun suddenly flew in from afar. From that burning flame, a powerful flame presence caused the nearby abyss devils to feel terror. They immediately retreated. Whoosh! The enormous ball of flame appeared where the sacrificial ghost monarch had been previously. The ball of flame turned into bright prismatic flame world. The patriarch of the Blaze family, Lian Zhao. Why has he come? The abyss devil screamed. The present patriarch of the Blaze family, Lian Zhao, walked out of the burning flame world. When he appeared, he commanded, "Go!" Whoosh whoosh. Ganxing and Lu Yang's figures flew out of flame world, turning into 2 streaks of light to disappear into the abyss passageway. The flame world where Lian Zhao was burned and stayed at the entrance of the abyss passageway. The abyss devils saw the patriarch of the god race's Blaze family appear and cursed angrily. However, no one dared to attack. They clearly knew that Lian Zhao's strength was extraordinary. Flaming Sun Abyss. Ganxing and Lu Yang appeared out of the abyss passageway and stood where they were, only releasing their minds and consciousness. Qin Lai, as the creator, was still near the origin sea and using the abyss devil energy in the whirlpool to recover his bloodline power as he secretly observed the prowling abyss devils. He was happy to see a situation like this. Suddenly, the Blaze family bloodline in him shifted. He narrowed his eyes and felt. He detected the existence of Ganxing and Lu Yang. Why have they come here? He had a strange expression. He looked at Thamer and Octon, and the other abyss devils who temporarily did not dare to act rashly and immediately split his attention. A thought formed of his soul consciousness crossed space and appeared at the entrance of the abyss passageway. That soul though changed into a soul shadow. Why are you here? Ganxing saw this shadow and knew that he had split a thread of his soul. He smiled slightly and said, "It's good that you are willing to meet us." Qin Lai's soul shadow looked deeply at him. He answered, "I've always thought of you as friends. That has never changed." Lu Yang's eyes were slightly red. She said, "We have come on the Patriarch's orders." Patriarch? Qin Lai was shocked. "Not your grandfather, but the present Blaze family patriarch, Lian Zhao. He told us to convey a message to you," Lian Zhao said. "What message?" Qin Lai was curious. "If you are willing to return to the Blaze family and go to God Race's ancestral lands to meet the elders of our race, we will give up on the invasion on Spirit Realm." Ganxing took a deep breath and had a serious expression. "This is the message that the 5 patriarchs and the elders ordered us to convey. If you are willing, they can guarantee they will never invade Spirit Realm in the future." Qin Lai shook. He had never thought that after Han Che of the Profound Ice family returned to the God Race, the unanimous decision of the God Race would be this. Him alone in trade for the peace of Spirit Realm. Up until now, he thought the factions of the Spirit Realm could not win against the God Race. The 3 emperors conspired greatly to imprison the Profound Ice family. They only wanted to pressure the God Race into a negotiation. Clearly, the 3 emperors also did not have a good outlook on the battle with the God Race. The arrival of the God Race was an event that the races of Spirit Realm always feared, and felt they had no strength to fight back. Right now, the family patriarchs and elders of the God Race were willing to give up on invading Spirit Realm because of him. Him alone in trade for the peace of the races of Spirit Realm. He suddenly felt blank and at a loss. The patriarchs also said that if you are not willing, Once the 5 families invade spirit realm. Ganxing grimaced and sighed. He said, "This time, their tactics against the races of spirit realm will not be as gentle as 30,000 years ago." At the side, Lu Yong also had a worried and clueless expression. "What do you mean?" Qin Lai asked blankly. Ganxing hesitated and explained, "This time, they might commit mass exterminations." Qin Lai's soul shadow twisted violently. 30,000 years ago, when the Blaze family and Darkness family invaded spirit realm, other than using bloody intimidation tactics at the start, they had no great casualties later on. At the time, they would happily accept any race that would submit to them. The races that surrendered to them only had to pay thee or they mind on time and remain obedient. They would even be taught things about bloodlines. Due to this, some of the races living in spirit realm nowadays had good feelings towards the god race, and even secretly awaited their arrival. Those races had once joined the god race and received some help. They did not dislike the god race. But based on Ganxing's words, if he did not agree this time, when the enormous ships of the 5 families broke the crystal spatial barrier and entered spirit realm in 2 to 3 years, they might not accept surrender this time. If that really was so, the races of spirit realm would face the threat of extinction unless they could stop the god race. Extinction and accepting slavery were 2 different concepts. Is this a decision they made to threaten me? Qin Lai's soul shadow asked. I do not know. Ganxing had a helpless expression. The patriarch is waiting in the abyss passageway at the entrance. The 2 of us came to deliver this message. In reality, I did not want to come, but I have the Blaze family bloodline and cannot refuse. I understand. Qin Lai said that. Lu Yong wanted to speak. What? Qin Lai was surprised. I heard Mia is in your hands? Lu Yong asked. Mia of the profound ice family? Qin Lai asked back. Lu Yong nodded and said embarrassedly, Mia and I are friends. We once fought together. Also, I owe her a favor. Qin Lai, no matter what your final decision is, I hope you can give me some face and not harm Mia. As for the other members of the profound ice family, I do not care, but Mia. Her eyes were filled with pleading. The reason she came with Ganxing was for Mia. She hoped that Qin Lai could leave Mia alive for her. Right now, the abyss passageway was destroyed. Even Han Che could not return to Shattered Ice Realm in the near future. Even if he did, Han Che did not know where Mia was and could not save her. The only person who could save Mia was Qin Lai, who left with her and was believed to have kidnapped her. She learned from the profound ice family that Mia was in trouble. After asking several times, she learned that Mia was likely in Qin Lai's hands and insisted on coming with Ganxing. Qin Lai, in the form of a soul shadow, saw the pleading in Lu Yang's eyes. He thought and then said, I promise you Mia will be fine. When I come out of the flaming sun abyss, I will release her. Lu Yong smiled brightly and sighed inwardly in relief. She said, Thank you. Since Qin Lai said he would release Mia, it meant that Han Che was correct. Mia was in Qin Lai's hands. She trusted that Qin Lai would not go back on his word. Thank you, Ganxing also said sincerely. No matter what your decision will be, just like you said, we think of you as a friend. If one day you need my help, as long as it is not betraying or harming the family, I will help you. Same with me. Lu Yong laughed softly. Qin Lai's heart warmed. He said, I will consider this matter seriously. If you have a decision, you can tell the great lord of the Frost Desolation Abyss, Dawson. He can pass your message to us? Ganxing said. All right, Qin Lai said. In reality, I do not want to be enemies against you, I really do not. Ganxing thought for a moment and said, Also, I believe that the elders and patriarchs of the 5 families will not do anything to you. In their eyes, you are the treasure of our race, and cannot be replaced. They need you alive. One of Ganxing's seniors was an elder of the god race, and he heard some things about Qin Lai. He knew that the elders of the race, including patriarchs like Lian Zhao and Han Che, went almost mad at the news of Qin Lai's existence, as well as his special trait. Right now, many of the seniors in the god race were in turmoil after learning Qin Lai had awakened the profound ice family bloodline and possessed absolute zero. When Hanche told them Qinlai also had the bloodline of the demon spirit of space and time, they almost wanted to gather all their forces and come to the flaming sun abyss. They were almost certain Qinlai had the perfect blood. However, restrained by ancient laws, beings above rank 8 could not enter the flaming sun abyss. They could not immediately kidnap Qinlai back to their ancestral lands. Helpless and unable to hold back, they could only send Ganxing and Lu Yang to talk with him. Treasure. Qinlai's mind shifted slightly. He knew the secrets of his bloodline. As he made name for himself in the vast universe, as more and more races and beings knew him, his secret would be exposed sooner or later. He guessed that Hanche had already told the uniqueness of his bloodline to the god race. I only know that the powerful and reputable god race clansmen cannot eat or rest in peace because of you. Ganxing grinned and said, originally, they were preparing several hundred rank 8 bloodline warriors to enter the flaming sun abyss to make sure you were not killed by those abyss devils. When we heard of your strength, and knew that you could deal with them with ease, they feared you would misunderstand, so they gave up. Have they gone insane? Lu Yang, who did not know of the situation, said in shock. I do not know. Ganxing looked deeply at Qinlai and said, I only want to say they are more nervous for you than anyone, and fear you will be killed by the abyss devils in the flaming sun abyss. Qinlai was silent for a long while. He said, I understand. I will consider this seriously. He was sure now that the race elders of the god race knew the secrets of his bloodline. They were nervous for him because of that. All right. I hope you will make a decision good for all of us. Ganxing nodded and smiled. Then he and Lu Yang went back into the abyss passageway and left the flaming sun abyss. Qinlai's soul shadow watched them leave and then slowly dissipated. His soul consciousness returned to his main body. Next to the origin sea, Betty had a bright smile as she watched Thamer egg the abyss devils on to kill Qinlai. Indigo floated in the air with a faint smile as though she had completely relaxed. After several attempts, Thamer became frustrated after seeing those rank 8 abyss devils were wavering but did not attack. He knew that all this was because his identity as a soul race clansman was exposed. The abyss devils did not trust him and were not persuaded. He finally stopped talking. His abyss devil puppet's eyes flashed with green light as he started to think of other ways. Yet after this period of rest, Qinlai had completely recovered in the whirlpool. His soul thread also returned from talking with Ganxing and Lu Yang. He felt his battle prowess rise to a new level. Through fighting with Locke and the armored abyss devils of the sacrificial ghost purgatory, he seemed to have gotten stronger by a level. Also, as he analyzed the bloodlines of Locke and the other abyss devils using the devil-devouring ability of his abyss devil race bloodline, he absorbed many abyss devil marks, causing his power to rise by the second. The abyss devil race bloodline in him seemed to burn with fighting spirit. You disappoint me. He suddenly laughed within the whirlpool which twisted wildly and shot at Thamer. You are a member of the soul race, and do not qualify to participate in a battle between abyss devils. Let me kill you first. The abyss devils who came from the abyss levels stopped where they were motionlessly upon hearing him say this. They also disliked Thamer's talking and his status as a soul race clansman even more. They felt that Qinlai's words were reasonable. In their eyes, Qinlai, who had the abyss devil presence and body, was a true, genuine abyss devil. Just as Qinlai said, they thought that this was a battle between abyss devils. Other races did not qualify to participate. They were happy to see Qinlai attack Thamer.